Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 314 of Spittin Chiclets, presented by Pink Whitney from our friends at New Amsterdam Vodka here in the Barstool Sports podcast family. Happy New Year to everyone. Hope you all enjoyed the holiday. I think it's safe to say we're all glad to have 2020 in the rearview mirror. Tons of stuff going on. Camps have opened. World Junior going to the medal round. Trades have been requested. A franchise icon and future Hall of Famer changed addresses. Where do we start? As usual, by saying hello to the boys. Mikey G, Happy New Year to our producer. How we doing, buddy?
Happy New Year, boys. I got myself a little espresso machine over the New Year. So
nice mug.
Yeah, got the little plate too. So going to be sucking down espresso during these episodes, get a little more energy. And hockey's back, so I'm excited.
Hey, he just talks the whole episode. We don't even get a word in. It's like
we have to mute him. I send someone over to smash his espresso machine.
Remember RA on Death Wish? That's going to be Grinelli.
Death Wish. Yeah.
Our pods will be at ×2.
That's the voice of Paul Biz Nasty Bissonette. How was your Happy New Year, Biz?
It was great. I hung out with Finnegan at home. Didn't do much. Although, we did go eat with the Pyatt's. Oh, Mr. Finnegan.
How about Pyatt in that EA video? He looked like a full-blown rock star. And he probably just rolled out of bed.
Yeah, I surprised him. If I would have asked him to do it, he would have never joined me. But yes, he's the most handsome man in North Scottsdale. I even think at one point he got asked to be the Bachelor.
Wow.
And then actually we spent the ball drop with Ray Whitney at the Whitney household.
The
Wizard. Yes. And we saw the ball drop there. Donor was there. Tyson Nash, who of course does between the benches for the Coyotes. So a little cup run, conference finals reunion for the New Year's.
Nice.
What an interesting New Year's Eve, Biz. You ripped it up. I wasn't even awake for the ball drop. Sorry, go ahead.
Right. That's all right. Yeah, last but not least, the wit dog, Ryan Whitney. What'd you do, buddy?
I didn't do anything. I was asleep before midnight. So I've always been over New Year's Eve. I think it's amateur hour. It's the most overrated night. We've said it long, but it's the year ended. 220. See you later. Smell you later. On to bigger and better things in 2021. I think, Biz, you got to give me what you're eating on a night like that. Are you eating anything? What kind of restaurant you go to?
We went to a place called Maple and Ash. It started in Chicago, and then they opened one here. Just great, a bunch of appetizers like the tuna tartare. Ended up having a fillet, and I think they had this what was it called? Short rib bolognese. Ooh,
oh, that sounds tasty. Oh,
brought a little home. Brought a little home for Finnegan.
Okay, so that was random, but I was curious because do you still do the thing when you're out to dinner? Grinelli, you know what I'm talking about, where you just say, hey, get this and I'll split it with you, and then you just bully the whole table because you want bites of everything. So
I never get what I want. I always have to split.
You do that on New Year's Eve? Or
I probably did that a little bit. I like getting one of every appetizer, forcing everyone to get it, and then dummying half of the app. And then everybody else at the table gets to split the other half of the app. Yes, I did that, Whit, you asshole. And thanks for bringing it up.
All right, I was just curious.
I love going out to you guys because Biz, you order all kinds of crazy shit. Some stuff I've never tried before, and I definitely have expanded my culinary horizons, no doubt, with you too, especially on the sushi stuff.
I had to start doing that.
To wake up with. It's a great group to wake up at the table with. You know, you're just gonna have something perfect to crush.
I started doing it more, especially when we all eat together, because RA's been known to steal dishes.
I'm never gonna live that fucking down.
Were you with him recently, Grinelli?
No, that was just a throwback pic. I look fired, so I had to post on Instagram.
Well, that was just a throwback pic. Like you guys are like hooking up, like
maybe a year and a half ago. I looked handsome as hell.
Where is that kid now?
Brett Merriman's in Austin, Texas, just living it up.
Brett,
if
I'll
some of you
never
are
forget
wondering,
when Brett took us up the goddamn coast.
Oh.
Let's go up and see the ocean in California, guys. We can get to San Jose in 4 hours, but let's take 11 because it's going to be dark out in 25 minutes. So we'll get 24 minutes of amazing coastline views. I'll never forget Brett.
We saw the sunset, so we might as well just keep hugging the ocean here and add 3 hours to commute and almost die in Big Sur falling off a 200-foot fucking cliff.
Every podcast after that one is we're playing with the house's money at the fact that we're still alive. So, but the good news, guys, we have tons of hockey to talk about.
Oh boy,
a lot of drama off the ice, more so than on right now. Other than World Juniors, we have Ray Ferraro coming by later. It's kind of cool. So we recorded it before the semifinal games. He kind of gave his predictions and what he's been seeing. So now we're going to jump back on after the games are played tonight because we're recording this on Monday. And we're going to see how the prediction worked out and talk a little bit about the games itself. So we got a lot planned for you guys as far as hockey's concerned.
And not just chicken palm. We also have Columbus stud defenseman Seth Jones joined us for a nice lengthy chat. He's somewhat of a quiet guy, but I thought he really opened up a bit. And I think people who listen to it are really going to enjoy it. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Like you said, Biz, lots of big news. Camps have officially opened for all teams, and one prominent player will have a new workplace. Big Z has gone to D.C. Zdeno Chara, after 14 years in Boston, captain all 14 years. He left for D.C., a one-year, $795,000 deal. Boston GM Don Sweeney wanted him in a, quote, integrated role. Just say fucking reduced, Don. I mean, you don't have to say integrated.
He went to Harvard.
Yeah, I know. You got to remind us.
I love the word.
Say it. He wanted him on
a meal.
He wanted him on a reduced role. Z feels like he has plenty left in the tank, and there was really no animosity between the parties. Like, they basically said, "This is what we want to do." Z said, "I don't want it," and everyone kind of was adult-like about it. Of course, Bruins fans are revolting a little bit up here. He's still one of the best conditioned athletes in the league. Father Time is undefeated. Money not a factor here. I hate people saying, "Oh, Bruins are cheap." It's like the Bruins have been spending on the cap for 15 fucking years. Find a new angle. Whit, let's go to you first for your.
Oh, I actually heard it was the owner. He was trying to make some cutbacks. I don't want to start any rumors here. Good job to the Flyers. What do you got, Whit? What'd you make of this whole thing?
I think that it's a huge mistake. Here's my thing. So Bruins fans, to me, are kidding themselves if they think their window is any longer than 2 more years. I think their window is 1 to 2 years. I don't know how good they're going to be after that. Bergeron will be older. Rask, who knows the scenario? It's just winter right now. And along with that maybe being bad news, the good news is last year before COVID, you were smash bashing the entire league. You were running through the league looking like it was going to be a legitimate, very high percentage chance that you're going back to the cup final or the conference final. Tampa looked awesome also, but man, the break happens. They never really got anything going in the playoffs. And that entire time, Zdeno Chara played a huge role on the team last year. I'm never going to sit here and say that he's the same player he was, which he was the best defenseman in the league. I remember, I don't know what year it was when I was in the NHL, maybe 2009. I got to look at his numbers. He was the biggest freak. 25 minutes. He beat the shit out of anyone. He'd score, get points, perfect defense, like the best in the league. So I'm not going to pretend he's that, but he is still solid. And so if you have 1 to 2 more years to win it, and you got a guy that you can have play, I don't know, 20 minutes, 18 to 20 minutes, 17 to 19 minutes, you're so good on the PK, the presence. He's going to turn it over. He's going to look a little awkward at times. He's better than what you have now. So going into this year, what are they going with? They're going to have 3 guys try to fill the role of one. I understand you need to develop prospects. I understand that you need to – I know I'm going on too long here, but to win now is like – you're telling me that this guy doesn't give you a better chance to win now?
I don't know.
Maybe they don't look at it like they have a 1 to 2 year window.
And you said he's going to be playing 18 to 20 a game, where I think at that much ice –
that's too much, you think?
Well, I think that what they're seeing is that at some point it becomes a little bit of a liability. Now, that's such a negative word to use when talking about Chara. And I guess I'll start from the beginning and saying, I thought given the shortened season and with what it was, I thought this would have been a wise year to keep him. In a full-length season, I get why they'd be like, hey, we got to move on because we do have to see what else we have here. You said that they have a 2-year window. Well, to me,
what do you think it is, RA? Sorry, Biz. Quickly,
I completely agree. 2 to 3 years. I think having Pasternak as a young gun kind of rejuvenates the older guys a little bit. You got McAvoy on the back end, who I think is going to be able to be that.
Awesome player.
He's an ace. You got your ace. You lost Krug, though. Who's going to be able to fill those roles? I think they need to see these guys and they need to use this year to see what do we got and where are we going to fill it. If
but
in
why
fact
use this year? Why use the year when you're like, I don't know, it's Krejci's
because time is of the essence. Because if you're telling me that Chara isn't going to be there beyond this year, and listen, it might not even solve the problem, because after the shortened season, Chara might be like, I still want to play. And they're like, fuck. Like,
I don't think he's ever going to quit.
That's what I'm saying. So they're at some point, they got to be like, they got to look like the bad guys. And in this case, they are. And I think from an organizational standpoint, if you're thinking we have 2 or 3 years left, I actually do think it's the time to move on and look like the bad guy and see what else there is to offer, so you can fill those holes for, like, if you're actually going to make a serious run. Listen, they got bigger fish to fry. They got to look at what they can compete against Tampa. And I don't think that having Chara lugging 18 to 20 is putting you over the edge. And if that's offended any of you Boston Bruins fans and you said, no, he should have been there for the shortened season, I'll say, okay, I agree with you on the emotional aspect level. But as from an organizational standpoint, with no heart in the game, I think it sucks, but it's the right move, because I don't think that he's going to retire even after this year. He's going to want to keep playing.
All right. Before I go to you and a lifelong Bruins fan, has it come out what they told him his role would be? Because if they told him his role was going to be 14 to 16 minutes in that range, and he said no to that, then I'm like, okay. I mean, if do you know what I'm saying right now? Like, if they told me he was going to play half the games, and when he did play, it was going to be 10 minutes, it's like, okay. But if they told him it was a little bit more than that, and he wasn't going to be scratched on certain nights, I don't know if that'll ever come out, what they told him the role would entail. But that really does kind of switch it for me on whose side I would really be on when looking down at the other points you brought up. Is now, all right. What are your thoughts on this thing, and what are the overall Bruins fan sentiments in terms of time for him to go, or we wish we still had him?
I mean, based on Twitter, which is only a sample because not every Bruins fan is on Twitter, they seem pretty pissed off about it. Again, if they're complaining about money, they're totally missing the point and not keeping track on salary cap issues. As far as the particulars of whether they discussed minutes, 14 minutes a game, 16 minutes a game, I think from what my read was that, they were going to probably scratch him a couple games and put the young guys in the lineup. That's my interpretation of it. And if that's the case, now you're talking about, healthy scratching your captain. And that kind of, I think, creates another ripple effect of, okay, like, this guy's your captain, but he's not dressing. And, how's that going to have ripple effects in the room? Sweeney said they're going to do it by committee. I mean, I don't know how that's going to work out. This guy was second in ice time on the team last year, had 3+ penalty killing minutes per game. And now, the left side, you got Grizzy, you got John Moore. They're the only 2 NHL regulars on that side right now. I mean, wow. Jeremy Lauzon's a right shot. I don't know if they can switch him over. You got Vakanainen there. What's his name? Zaboro, they drafted a few years ago. I assumed he'd probably maybe go out and get a deal, maybe bring in Sammy Vatanen, who's still a unrestricted free agent. But yeah, I don't think you can argue that this team is better than they were better without Chara than they were with them, because, like Biz said, sometimes he does look bad out there when he gets turned around by a 20-year-old kid. But I always say, how many plays does he snuff out just by having him out there? Because he's such a monster. Again, 3 penalty killing minutes per game. That's a lot. It sucks to see him go, but I think the longer it went on, the writing was on the wall. But no hard feelings, man. I mean, 1,023 games played here. 481 points, Stanley Cup in 2011, Messier Leadership Award, a Norris Trophy, which he probably should have won a couple more, but the Norris is so obsessed with points that, he's the shutdown defenseman of his generation. And
for
it sucks to see him
he
go.
was like the guy.
And also, too, I want to make a note about his numerous charitable things he's done here. And there was a tweet from Matt Brown, a buddy of mine. He was injured in a hockey accident years ago. And he said, just a few days after my accident, Zdeno stopped by and surprised the team at a pasta dinner. He talked with the boys, stayed for an hour, took pictures with everyone. He knew life was more than just a game of hockey, and he exhibited that time and time again in Boston. I thought that was just a great statement from Matt, kind of to sum up, hockey's his life, but there's also more to it. So, yeah, we'll miss him here. No doubt about that. There's a huge hole in the roster. But, that's the game. I mean, I don't get surprised. Obviously, I'm older, but when guys end up at different teams, I mean, fucking Gretzky played for 4 different teams. So I don't know why people get shocked when guys move on later.
I think that's wearing off a bit, but I do see this day and age in the game, so many free agent deals. They don't work out. It's guys getting bought out. It's guys getting traded. It's things that just happen over time. He's got to be one of the most bang on hit a home run signings in league history. The year that they signed him, they also signed Mark Savard, right? That same offseason?
Same day, yep.
Okay, so they made a big splash, start spending more money in Boston. It changed the Bruins' course of their next 15 years, whatever it was. And God, dude, he earned every single dollar. It was like there was not a minute of people thinking, or you know what? There was a minute of people saying Chara sucks. Those people know nothing about hockey. So congrats on a great Bruins career. We'll see what he does in Washington. I wonder what his role will be there.
Yeah, I mean, interesting. He said he wasn't guaranteed anything there, but obviously he thinks he's going to get more ice time there than he is in Boston. So he left, man. And good point you brought up with. I still remember I was coincidentally in Toronto July 1st, 2006, and I got a text from my buddy. Bruins signed Chara 5 years, 7.5 a year, and Savard 4 years, 20 mil. I thought he was punking me because the Bruins never spent that kind of money unless they were trying to like fucking piss off another owner like they do at Marty Lapointe signing. And it was like, it was a whole new day. The Bruins are like, all right, we're doing business here. This is how we're going to go moving forward. And he really reestablished credibility for the Bruins franchise.
I try to look at the whole situation just from a neutral standpoint. And listen, you guys know me. I'm a fucking like sucker for like, especially if a guy had like gotten it done for me as the captain, I would have 100% signed him. I just think that like it takes balls in order to like keep up with pace of play, so to speak, in the NHL, and given with the cap situation and like what decisions have to be made in this short window that you just talked about that they have, sometimes it has to get a little bit cutthroat. And I think that's just where they found themselves, and they found that the time to pull the trigger on this shortened season. And boys, like I said, we weren't in the room. It could have been a situation where he was saying, no, I want to keep playing forever. And they're like, oh shit, maybe now's the time to do it. So what a run in fucking Boston though.
Yeah, I mean, his number's going to be up there. I mean, we've had a great run of defense from Eddie Shaw, Bobby Orr, Ray Bourque. Interestingly, those three guys all finished their career elsewhere than Boston, too. So I guess Chara's just keeping with that theme. So thanks, Z, for everything you did here. We love you and appreciate it. But go Bees. And as far as their window, I think it's more than 2 years.
What do you think their window is?
I mean, honestly, man, as long as they got, Rask, Bergeron, Marchand there, I think the window will be there as long as those guys are there, especially Rask. I mean, he's a bona fide number one. They're tough to come by. So I'd give it more than 2 years, but they got to try to rebuild on the fly.
Bergeron 37 in 2 years?
Bergeron, he's 35 right now. He's got 2 more years left. Yeah, so he'll be 37 in 2 years.
If a current 37-year-old in this league, if a 37-year-old center can get it done, it could be Patrice Bergeron, but don't count on it.
Yeah. It's like I just said, Father Time is undefeated no matter what good a shape you're in. So
do we stick with the center theme and move on to Columbus?
Oh. There's some upsetting news for Blue Jackets fans, really. All right. Well, what's going on over there with one of their top picks from the recent draft?
Yeah, restricted free agent Pierre-Luc Dubois. He signed with Columbus 2 years, $10 million deal, but he apparently wants out of Ohio. Pierre LeBrun had said he was looking for a change of scenery. And as a restricted free agent, he was free to negotiate with teams, and apparently that's when it became known that he had a wandering eye. Sunday, he said, quote, "I'm going to be the best player I can be, the best teammate I can be, and the best person I can be. I don't want it to be a distraction, so I think that's the only way. I think if I go out there and I work hard in practices with a good attitude, and I go out there and work hard in games and play well, I think it's not a distraction." He didn't want to get into more than that. He said, "Our goal is to get a contract before camp. The team, my agent, myself have held talks, private talks, and they'll remain private." But what's going to be interesting is Tortorella. Tortorella's quote, he said, "We're transparent about everything, not just Panarin and Bobrovsky when they had similar situations with those guys." Quote, "There's a number of things that go on during a hockey season that I think it's important that it belongs in the room where everybody's involved with it and understanding of what's going on. So this situation, I'm not sure. I haven't spoken to Dubois or anything like that, but not only this situation, but others as the year goes on. We'll talk about it as men and we'll talk about it in a group setting." So I mean, that sounds like Torts, like, hey, just throw it out there and like, you want to be here, you don't want to be here. Like, I mean, have you guys been in rooms biz where a guy's requested a trade and what kind of effect it has on the room?
Geez, I can't remember one like in that type of situation, especially as like it was a bizarre situation. And even when he got there, he spoke and he's like, I'm not going to be a distraction, and kind of really didn't back off the fact that he really wants to get out of there. Now I'm hearing that this has everything to do with Torts. And you mentioned the wandering eye. I mean, I don't know if Burger Van brought him over to Chez Paris, give him a little, brought him a couple lap dances in the back.
With a mask on.
The hand sanitizer.
What about 6 feet?
Yeah. Anyway, it was like in the World Juniors when the bot pops up. What do you call it? What am I thinking?
What is it? Something gram? Hologram?
Yeah, hologram pops up of the Ripper. Anyway, I don't think that their relationship is very good. I don't think Dubois likes the way that he tries to motivate his players, even though that Torts is kind of, I would say he's dialed it in since his past. He's gotten far better, but I mean, you saw the situation against the Leafs when he laid into him on the bench. And I would go to even further to say apparently that like Dubois, apparently his old man is not a big fan of Torts. And he thinks man to man, that's not how you treat people, especially in an environment where you're trying to pull on the same rope and win something. Now, I'm not going against anyone's style of coaching here because I like the coaches that were hard on me. But I mean, when you got certain coaches like that, sometimes the shelf life is short. Now, from Dubois' standpoint too, like you got to be looking at this. I don't know how long Torts is going to be there for after this year. I think his deal's up after this year. I don't know how much longer he's going to be coaching, and he's on the back nine. So I just think that above anything else, it's his relationship with the head coach that's pushing him away from Columbus. And I don't think money was going to solve the problem if that was anyone's guess.
I'm pretty sure that's been like a long standing story, or however, I can't speak. You know what I'm talking about? That's Torts, right? There's some people that can handle it. There's some that can't. He has success everywhere he's been, but at times it ends, guys can't deal with the constant kind of, not just expectations, but way he goes about his business. Very matter of fact. And when you ask about like being in the room with a guy who's asked for a trade, I'll tell you, I'm not going to speak for everyone and say like people aren't that offended. I'm sure there are some guys that are offended by it. You don't want to be on this team. We don't really want you here. But I'll tell you this, even if you think that way about him, like off the ice, any single person on Columbus that plays with him this year and that is on the ice with him in practice and games, if he's playing hard and they can tell that he's trying his best and playing as well as he can, they don't give a flying fuck. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
Because if he's your centerman and you're a winger that's like, man, I can't believe this guy doesn't want to be here, and practices start and the games get going and he's feeding you left and right, yeah, you don't want him to go at all, but you love how he's playing and you love that he's making you a better player, and you love when he's helping you win games. So this is a business. It is surprising to see a guy this young do that. I saw some things online. Our boy Buchagras completely disagreed with how he's going about things. We should have him on, so we got to catch up with him. We could talk about that. I think that it's a different game now, where when you were younger and coming out of junior, top pick, first couple years, a coach may treat you like shit, but if you're playing as much as he does and producing, you're just going to kind of deal with it. And now these guys have a lot more power, especially younger players. And if he doesn't really want to be there, he can make it open. Hey, I'm signing here, but the minute I can get out of here, I'm gone. Do you want something for me or not?
Interesting thing is Jarmo kind of dealt with a similar situation with Johansson. Like, yes. but I think it was maybe Johansson wanted a little bit more money rather than wanted out. And RA, I think you mentioned it via text, is like you're not going to be able to flip them for Seth Joneses all the time. And they don't have necessarily a first line center. Now, right now they have Max Domi penciled in first line center as he's been taking reps in training camp. I would imagine that would flop considering Pierre-Luc Dubois is back. And, but if Domi's your best other option as your top center, and he hasn't proved himself sustainably at the NHL level as a center, now you find yourself in a heap of fucking problems. So if you're Jarmo, you got to figure out what's going to happen here. Am I going to extend this coach longer because he wants to be the head coach in the NHL, or am I going to be sacrificing my first line center? Where those don't grow on trees, and the amount of guys that want to stay in Columbus is also even smaller margin, let alone the head coach. No offense. I said no offense.
No offense taken. a couple other things too is like winning cures everything. So if he gets off to a start and he's playing amazing and they're doing great, I don't know, you go back to him. Do you still want to get out of here? Things have changed with Torts. Who knows? That's kind of remains to be seen. And then the other thing is when Torts talks about we're open, the team's honest with each other. I mean, he ain't kidding. Like it's going to be, hey, if he has a poor night and they're watching video, hey, we know you don't want to be here. You don't want to be on this team. Is that how you're going to play? I would not be shocked at all if things like that are said. If he's talking about being out in the open, that's, hey, you don't want to be here. You've told everyone that via the media or via, what's gone on with the GM and your agent. So you better fucking play hard or all these guys are going to hate your guts. I don't know. Like, is that being open and transparent?
That is 100% fair, because on the flip side of that, you hear this, like, you hear about this situation. You're like, oh, there must be like turmoil in the locker room. No, Max Domi, speaking of Max Domi, he was asked and he goes, this is the best atmosphere as far as a locker room setting I've ever been involved in. And that was his early comments. I mean, he's been there for training camp. I mean, I imagine if Torts gives him a few fucking kicks in the ass, maybe
the old skating test, like 400 laps.
Yeah. But so they have a great locker room dynamic, and it's kind of like they get it done by committee. So if somebody just genuinely doesn't want to be there, they're kind of going to do without. But on both sides of the coin here, be careful what you wish for, because the grass isn't necessarily greener.
And if he does leave, it'll kind of follow the same pattern as you mentioned, Biz. Ryan Johansson and also Josh Anderson, a couple of guys where the negotiations got ugly and they end up getting traded. And Yamo Kekalainen, the GM of Columbus, he's known to draw a line in the sand with restricted free agents. I believe he says uses the hammer because players are going to do it to him coming the other way. But he's not going to get a Seth Jones in return every time. I mean, I wouldn't say he swindled Nashville, but I'd say now Columbus certainly won that trade. And there's certainly nothing imminent. And Yamo's not obligated to trade him, but it definitely feels like the skids are greased here a little bit.
But here's what from talking to people, money is not the issue. It has nothing to do. I think they would have given him what he wanted as far as finances are concerned. But that, at least that's what I'm hearing. So it's strictly a coach issue, right?
Yeah, and I didn't mean to imply he wasn't happy with the money. It was just whatever gets said during the negotiations. It got ugly. So, who's that? Who's that?
That's Finnegan. He's barking. Somebody must have rang the doorbell.
I'm annoying.
He was sick of my opinion on this topic, so he was like, "Yeah, shut the fuck up."
He was like, "Enough about fucking Tortorella." Jesus Christ, you were talking to Katie about it.
Well, Biz, in case our listeners missed it, you did announce the EA Sports NHL Team of the Year last week via video. Great job, by the way. You should go to Hollywood, man. You got the stuff. There was obviously much discussion on this show about who should go where and why, and we had some fun doing our little draft. For those of you who watched, you saw some of the sweet awards these guys got: custom skates, a goalie mask, gloves. Biz, take us through making that video. That looked fun.
Well, we wanted to do an award show, and they thought about doing it over Zoom, and I said, why don't we do one that's kind of follows safety protocol? We'll put the podium up there. We'll do it. We'll go around town and we'll get celebrity appearances. I ended up getting Eddie Lack to join, who's an absolute character. We're going to get him on the podcast. We surprised Taylor Pyatt. Luckily, we got Shane Doan. We had Jans call in over phone, but we couldn't get the audio, so we had to dub the voiceover. And legendary play-by-play host for the Arizona Coyotes, Bob Heathouse, my partner in crime. So I had him introduce all the left wingers, and it was a blast. And shout out to our limo driver who ended up having to do the last one because we had somebody not show up, and I will not remain, or I won't say who it was. So thanks to EA. We had a blast doing the drive-by award show, and thank you for the tire pump, RA.
Absolutely. And in case you didn't know the team, the EA Sports NHL Team of the Year was Leon Draisaitl, Artemi Panarin, David Pastrnak, Cale Makar, Victor Hedman, and Andrei Vasilevsky. And again, if you haven't seen Biz's work yet, you can watch the award show video on our YouTube and Instagram page, and also check out the award winners over at EA Sports NHL social channels as well. And
thank you to Corey and Porter for helping film that and edit it, and they made me look somewhat decent. Although the guy helping out with, he was carrying around the podium, and he absolutely smoked me right in the nose. I was bleeding.
I saw that. I was like, that looked bad. That looked bad, actually. I was wondering if that actually hurt.
They got me pretty good, but the show must go on. We had Eddie Lack ready to go, and it was.
So they wanted a Zoom award show, and that's what you gave them. That's like buying I can't even think of an analogy. What a move by you.
Just trying to grow the brand, bro. We're trying to get the YouTube channel going, right? We're getting things popping with the kids, G.
Absolutely. We're actually switching all of our gaming over to the YouTube as well. We're leaving Twitch and we're going to be doing all of our gaming going forward on YouTube. So we're going all in on YouTube, baby. Let's go.
Okay.
Nice.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out there, and we'll be dropping all the pods on there now too.
All right. Going back to roster reports, some more bad news for our friends in Chicago. Jonathan Toews will not be with the Blackhawks to start camp. Oh, I'm sorry, I should say he wasn't with the Blackhawks to start camp. He's been dealing with the medical issue. He released a statement. He said, "This offseason, I've been experiencing symptoms that have left me feeling drained and lethargic. I'm working with doctors so I can better understand my condition. Until I can get my health back to a place where I feel I can perform at an elite level and help my team, I will not be joining the Hawks for camp." He did ask for privacy as he focuses on his health and recovery. We're not going to speculate on anything here. We just want to tell him get well, get better. But if you're a fan of the Blackhawks, now you got to start the year without Toews, without Doc. Just found out Seabrook's not in camp as well. So a tough blow for the Blackhawks, Whit, no doubt.
Yeah, definitely kind of a scary thing to read because you just don't know what they're talking about, and we're not going to at all try to figure out what's going on. We just want to say good luck to Jonathan Toews in getting healthy. I've met him one time. Awesome guy. Everyone knows what he kind of means to the league and the city of Chicago. So forgetting that with Doc out, it kills the Blackhawks, who didn't look great going into the year to begin with. More about just getting this guy healthy, getting him feeling right again, because the vague report of kind of what is out there, just the statement that was made, it does make you think like, all that matters is our health. We've been over that a bunch of times, and you got to think that it's just definitely a scary time for him.
Yeah. Well said, Whit.
Absolutely. So get well, Toews. We need you back out there, and health is the priority. Moving right along, the Devils forward, Nico, he missed the start of camp as well with a leg injury. He's week to week, and he should be ready for the season opener. Of course, he was the number one overall pick in the 17 draft. He just turned 22. Actually today, Monday, and he starts a 7-year, $50.75 million deal this season. So a little bit of pressure on that kid, I'd say.
Yeah, that's.
I got to get the ISO cam on this guy this year. Everybody's pumping up his two-way game.
Yeah, and also Tommy Fitzgerald came into that contract already being given to him, right? All right.
So
so it's one of those things. You come in, you got a young guy, and you got to think he's going to be watching him very closely, knowing that they got him next 7 years for over $7 a year.
Yeah, that's a pretty big nut for the kid. So obviously, I can wish him well. See what happens. Moving right along. Another trade request. Winnipeg also dealing with some issues. They had at least one trade request. Restricted free agent forward Jack Roslovic? Roslovic. I never, with those ICs, you never know how it's itch or it. He's supposedly asked for a new place to apply his trade as well. He doesn't have a contract yet. He's going to be subject to mandatory quarantine. He can join the team on day 8 if he gets 4 negative tests. February 11th would be the last day for Winnipeg to sign him for him to play in the NHL this season. He just completed his entry-level deal. But the bigger fish involved with Winnipeg, Patrick Laine, he's been rumored to be in trade talks as well. He's going to be RFA after this season. He's making $7.5 million. He's still only 22 years old, Laine, averaging 34.5 goals in his first 4 seasons. He's the 7th most prolific goal scorer since his rookie year. If he doesn't want to be there, he doesn't want to be there. But, man, if you're a GM, it's tough to part with a sniper like that, Biz.
I don't know.
Biz has been talking about this guy since he joined the podcast, whenever that was, and just in where you're going to find the goals and what are you going to do when you're not scoring?
Well, we talked about it with Ray, actually. We talked about that B game and nights where he's not scoring and he's a little bit non-existent, where there's like nothing else going on, and in some cases a bit of a dog. Listen, the book last year was that he started playing a little bit more defense. He had a pretty solid season. I don't know. He doesn't want to be there. I don't know what the ask is going to be and what he's going to want to get paid moving forward. But I still think that there's something to prove there.
Yeah. The thing is, for teams looking, it's so hard to figure out what you'd be willing to package to get this guy, because are you going to get the dude that looks unstoppable that'll get you 40 every season, or are you going to get the guy that just shuts it down when he's playing video games on 48 hours straight drinking Mountain Dew? I don't know. You don't understand what he's so.
Hey, let's sign him to the Sock Daddies. Let's sign him to the fucking Sock Daddies. How about that? I'll give him $7 million.
I didn't make that up, did I? He's a gamer.
Big time gamer.
Grinelli, big time gamer?
Yeah, big time gamer.
So if you get lucky and you deal for him, and then he decides, all right, I'm going to play. I like this. I like my living situation better. I like my line mates better. It's all one big. It all rolls together to one big package. Am I happier? I don't know if that's what it is for this dude. We're all kind of guessing, but when he's on, man, it'll change the team's forward unit. Imagine the Bruins got that guy. He started just sniping.
As far as the other guy you mentioned for Winnipeg, I couldn't even tell you which way he shot. So
Roslovich, he's a righty.
Good player?
Yeah, he is. He was a first-round pick 5 years ago or 6 years ago, and like has all the tools. I don't necessarily think he's been given the opportunity in Winnipeg. Who knows, right? With his relationship with the coach there, and why am I forgetting who the coach is there? Unreal.
Paul Maurice.
Paul Maurice. So I don't know what's going on with their relationship or what he thinks of him as a player. Maybe he sees third, fourth line guy as opposed to top two-line winger. But I remember talking to Matthews. They played at the national program together, and he was so complimentary of how skilled this guy is. And this dude probably wants a chance. Jack probably wants a chance to get more minutes. And I don't really think it's a situation where he cares where it is. Just get me somewhere that I'm going to get a chance to play top two lines.
Do you guys think there's any way that Winnipeg and Columbus could swap Laine and Pierre-Luc Dubois?
Sure, let's fucking do it. I'll call Torts right now. Give me a sec.
Imagine Torts with Laine.
Fucking do it. Trade him.
Laine's playing the PSP on the bench. He's like... There could be some fireworks there.
I think Aves was telling us a story at one point in New York when guys got into the locker room. They had to put their cell phones in a bag, and you couldn't touch your cell phone while you were in the locker room. And then at one point, Aves had one of those iPads because that's how he used to read the newspaper. And he walked in, and apparently he grabbed it off him, and he like snapped. And he's like, Torts, I'm reading the fucking newspaper. Like, this is how you do it nowadays. You don't get ink all over your fingers. So, yeah, the adjustment there, fucking, I'll pay a salary just to see the goddamn fireworks.
I don't think that Columbus needs a center.
Hey, he's playing fucking Xbox on the Jumbotron between periods. Missing team meetings. He's got the COD.
He's selling side tickets to the fans to watch him on the Jumbotron play against Song Daddies.
No. Yeah, I don't think Torts will be down with Patrick.
Yeah, that would be a wild trade, boys, taking two allegedly disgruntled guys and swapping them for each other. That would be some pretty quacky stuff. Speaking of Columbus, I think we should send it over to Seth Jones shortly. But first, I want to talk to you about Simply Safe for a minute. Going to be talking about Lake Tahoe shortly. And if Mikey Corleone had Simply Safe at his Tahoe place, then things might have turned out different. Everyone wants to keep their home and family safe, whether it's from break-in, a fire, flooding, or a medical emergency. Simply Safe Home Security delivers award-winning 24/7 protection. With Simply Safe, you don't just get an arsenal of cameras and sensors. You get the best professional monitors in the business. They've got your back day and night, ready to send police, fire, or EMTs when you need them most, straight to your door. Simply Safe has an arsenal of sensors and cameras that protect every inch of your home. This is my favorite part. You can set it up yourself in about 30 minutes. It's super easy, even for a dummy like me. Then Simply Safe's professionals take over, monitoring your home 24/7 and ready to send help the moment there's an alarm. Plus, with Simply Safe, there's no long-term contract, no hidden fees, or installation costs. Right now, our listeners get a free home security camera when you purchase a Simply Safe system at simplysafe.com/chiclets. You also get a 60-day risk-free trial, so there's nothing to lose. Visit simplysafe.com/chiclets for your free security camera today. That's simplysafe.com/chiclets. simplysafe.com/chiclets. CHICLETS. And without further ado, here's Seth Jones. Well, it's a pleasure to welcome our next guest. This defenseman was taken by Nashville 4th overall in the 2013 draft and made the team just a few months later. In the ensuing years, he's become one of the top defensemen in the league and has been an all-star game representative for the Columbus Blue Jackets in 3 of the last 4 seasons. Thanks for joining us on the Spittin Chiclets podcast, Seth Jones. How you doing, pal?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Top pleasure, man. So where are you spending your off season?
I'm in Dallas right now. Been in Dallas for, ever since I came back from the bubble. So I got my mom here and my brother's here. So it's been fun. I've been training and waiting for the season to start like everyone else.
I've had the chance to speak to you once before, but it was the NHL Network interview a player next to the penalty box post-game, most boring interview in the world. So I'm really looking forward to having you on here a little more laid back.
Yeah, is that the one where I look up at the tiny camera on the jumbotron?
Yeah. Getting ready for that player's like, where do I look? They're like,
I know.
Just look at the big screen. And you're just like, oh, boy.
I never got asked to do one of those.
2x2 camera. No.
Me and Ray don't know what you're talking about. We've never got asked to do one of those. So
no, you did one in the minors. You did one in the minors with an old like VHS camera. The guy's like, look into the lens.
Exactly.
No, but so RA brings up, or asks where you stay. And for people who don't know, your father, I think everyone knows by now, but your father, Popeye, 11, 12-year NBA veteran. Is he still involved in the game? Is he coaching? What's going on in his life?
He is. He's been in Indiana the past 8 years, 7 or 8 years coaching there. And then he actually just got an assistant coach job with the Sixers. So he'll be trusting the process, I guess. Is that what they say?
Yeah. You'll have some NBA,
a lot of
7-year process. Yeah, exactly. So he loves Doc Rivers. They've chatted because he just got hired there too. So says he's a laid-back coach and should be fun.
Do you tell your old man, hey, see if Embiid will give me a follow on the gram? Like, do you try to get that in there, or no? You're gonna let it happen?
Organically, yeah. I'll try to get to a game, meet him after.
Courtside.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll just find out where he eats lunch, show up there. It'd be really organic.
Yeah.
So the beginning of your career, we always go back to the early stages in like development in hockey, and yours is one of the coolest stories going with your dad playing in the NBA and you guys living in Denver. There was a certain Hall of Famer who kind of helped your dad out when he asked him where kids should be playing locally and stuff like that, right?
There is, yeah. Guy by the name of Joe Sakic.
Decent.
Heard of him or not, but yeah, he's not a bad player. So he lived in Colorado. My dad, when he was with the Nuggets, always see him down low in the Pepsi Center walking around underneath. And I just asked him, I was probably 3, 4 at the time. Older brother was, 7 or 8. Younger brother is just a couple years younger than me. I just asked him, what do they need to do? What do my kids need to do to get into hockey? They love watching you play. They love coming to the games. He said skating. Skating is going to be the most important thing. So took skating lessons for an entire year before I actually started playing hockey.
What age is this? Sorry.
This is 5.
Okay.
So I was 5, did skating lessons, took it from a figure skater. Wasn't figure skating lessons, just working on the edge, working.
Hey, I did that too, Seth.
I'm pretty sure.
Don't let people bully you about the figure skaters, man. They know their edges, my friend.
They know their stuff. Oh, 100%.
They know their edges.
You may catch some chirps for that, but it makes you a better skater. That's no doubt.
Exactly. Oh, I'm sure I will. I have over the years, trust me, as that stories came out.
So I was going to ask, around that time, was there just more development in the hockey world there to where what really wasn't any in the basketball programs, to where that's what made you gravitate towards playing hockey over basketball?
Well, I think, when I was growing up in Colorado, I was watching the Avs and they were loaded. I think their cap was well over 100. There was no cap at that time. So, it was like, we're like 110 million. They had like 5, 6 Hall of Famers. They were just one of the most exciting teams to watch. And so, I think that's what gravitated toward it. I don't think the Nuggets were good. So I don't really recall back in the day, but, we just love hockey. I had friends growing up that played hockey. It was just part of it. And then the buzz around that team, probably, not just me, but probably made, thousands of other kids want to try hockey too at that age.
I read in an article that did your older brother get involved first or basically at the same time? So you're looking up to your bro and watching him do it. It must've made you want to play even more.
Exactly. So he's a 90, so he's 4 years older than me. And watching him start playing, just loving the game in general before that, but then watching him start playing, and I wanted to get involved. And then my younger brother got involved too. So we all did skating lessons from the same figure skating lady for years and years, and that's kind of how it happened.
So is that why you ended up a defenseman? Because at that age, you were like the only guy who could like skate backwards as good as you could forwards?
I think it was a natural thing. Just listening to some of the stories from my mom and my parents. They tried to put me at forward. I tried to play center and wing, and I would always gravitate back to defending the net for some reason. That was just my mentality. I just didn't want to let up.
So you're very nurturing.
Yeah,
exactly. Very nurturing. You want to be close to home, take care of the home.
Oh yeah, settle.
Setsy. I'm wondering, say at 9 or 10, are you already like the dominant, that guy, Seth Jones, he's the best player on that team, or are you the Ryan Whitney 10-year-old with a yellow helmet who can't even skate?
I think I was pretty good.
Okay, so that means you were nasty. You're being modest.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like a massive goal scorer, obviously, but the skating was just a big part of my game. And so I did a lot of summer tournaments. It was a year-round thing when you're that age. So I didn't stop playing hockey. I never played organized basketball one time. My parents tried to kind of push me toward it, and just said no, absolutely not. A younger brother and my older brother played for about a year or two in middle school, and that was really it.
Would you say you were hyper focused to where like you wanted it, and like your parents were obviously willing to do it full year round because you loved it that much?
Yeah. My mom or my grandma helped a lot when I was younger, travel around on these road trips. It's a lot of traveling. I don't know how many times I went to Toronto as a 10, 12-year-old, playing in these summer tournaments.
Were you sitting first class? Were you sitting first class?
Not.
No,
my mom was probably first. Yeah.
Oh, hey, your mom would go first class, and then you'd get the pigeon toss.
Exactly, back by the bathrooms in the back.
So I'm guessing that at this point, 2004, 2006, I don't know how good Colorado youth hockey was, wherever you were living and playing at the time. But were you getting crushed on national tournaments by teams from Minnesota, et cetera? Were you guys good?
We were actually pretty good. So Colorado, when I grew up there, it didn't have AAA. So we were AA. It was Pee Wee AA. That was the last years I played there. And we ended up winning national championship because we were AA, and we probably should have been AAA, but we weren't. I think we won the finals of the AA nationals like 5-0. So it was kind of a joke a little bit. But then my last year in Colorado with the Thunderbirds came about, Colorado Thunderbirds youth hockey program, which was AAA. And so that was kind of new for Colorado. I moved to Dallas at Bantam, only played in Dallas for 3 years, youth hockey. But we weren't bad. It was AAA, but, we weren't the best because Dallas wasn't just not a big hockey market compared to Chicago, the Mission, all the Detroit teams, things like that.
Seth, what was your first exposure to the game that made you want to skate? Was it watching the game on TV, a game you went to live? How did that first kick in?
I don't really recall the last or like what really pushed me to it, but I was at Game 7 in 2001 when the Avs won against Jersey. I was there with my family and a couple of buddies. Saw, Joe Sakic pass it to Ray Bourque, 22 years in the NHL without winning the Stanley Cup. Patrick Wall, all these Hall of Fame players. That just pushed me toward it. I was 7 years old at the time, 6 years old actually, about to turn 7. And, something about that moment, just the love for the game was incredible.
Hey, were you so tapped into where you were watching that reality show the year? You said one of the years they had like $100 million salary cap.
Yeah.
Where it was like when like they were making fun of Korea for being cheap and he was driving his Lexus and like were you like all tapped into that like behind the scenes stuff?
I don't even remember that.
Okay, so you were too young for that then. Well,
probably too young, yeah.
All right.
Just love watching hockey.
Set question, Biz.
Well, people may not remember though, Biz, that Korea and Solani at the height of their careers, I think took $1 million each. Or maybe it wasn't Solani's height of career. He got caught fire again in Anaheim, but they just wanted to be there, right? I mean, that was like people
they took $1 million salary.
Both Solani? Of them. One year, I think Solani and Korea were making $1 million each.
Wow. Jesus.
I could be completely making this up.
Yeah, fuck it. We don't know our stats, Seth.
I'm going to look it up right now.
We actually don't know much all about hockey.
This is a hockey podcast.
Yeah.
I want to ask, I know there's been pro football players who've had sons in the league and pro baseball players, but do you know if you're the first son of an NBA alumni to make the NHL?
I think so. I think Darnell, what is his uncle is McNabb, or so, I think that's right. I don't know any other basketball dads, to be honest.
Huh.
Well, what kind of a player was your old man as far as basketball? Was he like a kind of
bruiser.
Like a grinder, throwing elbows and shit, getting in the mess?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow. I remember as a kid, he always used to tell me he would just give little jabs all the time, kidneys. This is back when basketball was a little more physical than it is now. Rib shots all the time in the paint, things like that. He actually had a funny story. I'll never forget this. He was playing Shaq in Shaq's prime, which unstoppable, right? It's ridiculous.
Oh my God.
I think there was a free throw. They were standing next to each other. I know they boxed each other out on free throws. He grabbed Shaq's wrist and tried to play dirty like that, away from the ref. And Shaq comes back down like a couple seconds later, says, "Hey man, don't grab my wrist no more." And my dad didn't grab his wrist again. He's like, "Yes,
you're
sir.
the king
Yes,
if that's
sir."
all you have to say.
Honestly, man, like, yeah, like,
the
and
deepest voice ever too.
He's so fucking scary, man. Oh my god, he's a tank.
And Shaq too Shaq is so funny.
Don't grab my wrist.
Yeah, him and Barkley. Oh my god, those guys!
You grab a towel, you're like wiping up his sweat off the court.
Exactly. Anything I do, you need water.
He's got a bark collar on you. He's like walking you back to the sidelines. He's like,
hold on, Shaq, your jersey's untucked.
Grab a camera and take a couple shots too.
Yeah, exactly.
He was
those
he
guys
was
are
unreal.
Actually hilarious on TNT. I love watching them.
Yeah, that's what I'm
nights.
saying.
Man.
I saw Shaq was chirping Chuck during that match the other day with Mickelson. I'm like, these two guys are hilarious.
Oh man, they just get each other going and everything on that. It's so funny.
I heard a story about how Charles Barkley wasn't going to do the show anymore, and he kind of wanted to go do different stuff. And one of the guys from TNT, one of the guys who could sign the checks, went in an in-person visit, and then they wrote like a number on a check and said, "We're going to pay you $10 million a year for the next 10 years." And that's
how much he's getting from that.
I think he signed a $100 million deal. I might be dead wrong, just like Witt's old thing. Like, we're not great with the numbers.
I was half right. Korea made 1.2. Solani made 6.
Ooh. Okay.
Hey, 50%.
Hey, 50%. I'll take that. That's good as a.
Let's just pretend I'm making this story up. But like he couldn't believe it to where he's like, yeah, I'm coming back you're going to pay me $10 million a year to fucking go up there and chirp back and forth with Shaq. They have the best jobs on the planet.
Oh man, they say whatever they want for $10 million a year. Like, they can't say anything wrong. I love when the San Antonio thing and all that stuff is.
And I don't even know basketball, and some of Barkley's takes are so ridiculous, and Shaq will just call him out, and they'll be arguing up there for like 5 minutes about it. And like, but Shaq's right. He's right. He puts them in a body bag every time.
Actually, speaking of the
WWE stuff, and it's so funny.
Speaking of the NBA, I know you're a big NBA fan. Do you got a team, Seth, or do you root for individual players?
I don't really have a team. I just love watching the game. I'll turn on any game there is, to be honest. But obviously you love the big time matchups, right? So I really watch for individual players. So anytime, Kawhi's playing or LeBron's playing or, Curry's playing, things like that, I just love watching them. They're exciting to watch, and it's just fun. Giannis and these guys, they always make it entertaining on TV.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to the NHL. Go ahead,
are you going to games on the road? Are you going to games when you're, the night before? A lot of times the NBA team plays. Or are you just?
I've actually been to only one game. I saw a Bulls game. I have a funny story about that actually. I was playing in Nashville my second year. I was in Chicago a couple of days before the game. They were playing the Rockets, and so we stayed at the Ritz I think it's the Water Tower downtown. So Houston was staying there. We had a couple nights, so we go out for some drinks. Night before their game, like 2 nights, 4 hours. Night before their game, I see a couple other players in there, tequila bottles in their hands, like chugging. I mean, it was just incredible. I saw Jeremy Lin was sitting at the bar drinking water. This is when he was on Houston.
Insanity.
And I'm like, these guys can't have a good game next game. So I go into the game the next night. Harden has like 8 points, I think. Lin goes off for like 28. I'm like, this guy obviously had a great night. I'm sure Harden did. So I go to see Harden play, and he was a little hung, I think.
He was buckled.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What about the Ohio State games? You go to a lot of the action, whether it was football or basketball for the college team?
I haven't been to Ohio State football game yet.
Wow.
I've been there for 4 years now. Haven't been, outside of the stadium is kind of my bread and butter, this I don't need to deal with like 100K people. But just the bars and the atmosphere around the games, like the whole city shuts down for these games. So it's a lot of fun just kind of being out and about downtown.
Going back to, you as a younger player, you got a little bit older, you go out to Ann Arbor where the National Team Development Program was. I got a chance to be there, Pioneer High School, shout out, I'm a graduate. After that ended, were most of those guys, I shouldn't say most, but a high percentage are going to college, you decided to go to the WHL. Like, what's that decision like? I mean, I would think you had an idea, already then that you had a chance to be a pretty high pick that following year.
Yeah, so I ended up graduating high school in 3 years because I was a late birthday, so I had that extra year before my draft. So I wanted to leave that college option open or that WHL option open for that year. So I actually went and took an official visit to North Dakota. Loved it there. Great facilities. It was top notch, the building and everything. And I was really interested in BU, actually, believe it or not, and never took a visit there, but loved the school and loved everything about it. And it ended up going to Portland in the WHL. It just seemed better for me for that 1 year. My goal was to play 1 year, then go right to the NHL. And I thought, 1 year of college wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense for me.
I mean, they used to get great crowds there. And did you feel that would better prepare you for the next step, just given like the amount of games you're playing and like maybe the wear and tear to get used to that?
Exactly. Yeah. 72 games when I was there. I think there's 68 now, but 72 games, the bus rides and the back-to-backs and things like that would definitely get me more prepared than, and I'm not saying mine is always the right choice at WHL, sometimes colleges, but, I think they play 30 something games only in the weekends, a lot more working out, things like that in between. And I just really wanted to focus on hockey at that point and playing as much as I possibly could that last year.
I've said before, I think college hockey is the way to go. But if you're a guy that's going to play in the NHL and it's 1 year, I totally understand, and it kind of agree with junior getting you ready for that pro like lifestyle in a way. But when you end up getting picked, I'm sorry, not getting picked. I didn't want to get to the draft yet. But the Portland team, did they draft you in the dub, or did somebody else and then they traded for your rights?
Everett drafted me.
And you said no, thank you. You gave him the Dikembe?
No, I actually, the Dikembe. No. Doug Sotar was the GM there. And then he left when I was, thinking about going to the dub. He went somewhere else. I think he went up to the NHL, if I'm correct. But my agent kind of put together that deal that would send me to Portland. Mike Johnson was the coach. Travis Green now in Vancouver was the assistant coach. Just how they ran things, the professionalism of that organization and the players around on that team at the time, I think would best help me get to that next level. And so I had a blast when I was there. Loved my billet family to death that was there with me that year.
Was Travis Green the head coach there, or was he assistant?
He was technically the assistant, but that year Mike Johnson got suspended for the year because whatever the case happened.
What's that mean?
I don't even know what the case is. I have no
idea.
All right. What's the case?
Apparently there was some things going on.
Was that a Russian under the bus? Was it a Russian under the bus story? It was a Russian under the bus story, wasn't it?
That was the Barry Colts. Exactly. No, it wasn't. Was it?
No.
Oh, dude, that's
Mike Johnson,
that's just fucking funny, man.
He ended up coaching the Penguins. He couldn't have done something that bad. He was in the NHL a couple of years later, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He was
paying Seth Jones to play junior. That's what was happening.
No, not me.
Yeah,
I wish.
72 games, my ass. You were probably making more than some fucking show guys that year. Were you getting a cut of the gate like Sid and Junior?
And Patty Kane?
Yeah. I was going to ask you just about for someone who obviously you're a young stud coming up and you probably knew you were going to go to the national program because that was like the best development at the age you were. For someone who's going from like where you were into that program, were you like nervous at all because you're like, you're moving your life away, you're not going to be around your parents as much, there's a lot more demand as far as like the athletic standpoint to where it's kind of like all of a sudden it's a job?
Yeah, I agree. I'm moving away at 15, turning 16 from my family, living with a family I don't even know. Luckily I was with one of my best friends growing up from Colorado. We billeted together. So that made it a little easier when I was away from the rink. But yeah, new school, completely new teammates, new coaches, wasn't easy. But at that point, you really start transitioning into, developing for the NHL. And that was my goal. And that is my thought process through that whole 2 years I was there.
happens quick, Biz. I think
I
I was
know
saying
it's
this the other night. Like you're at such a young age now, and you're thinking NHL 2 years away, things like that. I was nervous going there. I went for the last year, so the team had been together for the whole season prior, so it's a little tough because you don't feel as much a part of the group. But it was still I loved being there. Just in case you were wondering how I felt about the whole thing.
I was gonna say I've never asked the guy who fucking hosts the podcast this question, and I could have, but I don't know. Maybe you're more interesting,
I just
Seth.
decided to just take it over there.
Well, you did go 4th overall and went 5th. Wah, wah.
Yeah, things have gone a little different since the draft as well. I that day, like, take me back. I mean, obviously everyone knew McKinnon was going 1, right? That was as set in stone as could be. Where did you kind of slot in, or were you seeing Nashville at 4 the whole time?
No, actually, I was. I was supposed to go 1 or 2. Nate. I think Nate was going to go 1 just because I played him in the Mem Cup that summer before. We played him in regulation, had a hat trick. Played him in the Mem Cup final, had a hat trick. I'm like, holy shit, like, settle down here.
How many of those were you on the ice for?
I was going to say, how many minuses he eat?
Oh, they didn't match me up against him, so who knows?
Okay.
So he went 1 to Colorado. Obviously a transcendent forward like that. I mean, it's hard not to.
Maybe that's why Johnson got suspended, because he didn't fucking match you up against McDavid, and he chewed you guys up for 2 hatties.
Exactly.
Maybe use the guy who's might go first too against them. I don't know.
Whatever. And then I think Barkov went 2 to Florida. I thought I had a chance there. Barkov's a hell of a player. Can't argue that. And then 3, I really thought I was going to go to Tampa, to be honest.
So it was a tough little beginning there.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
you had a tough 50 minutes.
Centers are
no state tax.
I think. Oof. I know. Those 30 minutes were like the longest of my life, because it was 10 minutes a pick in the first round. I was like, I'm sitting there like, holy shit, when am I going to go? Then Tampa happened. I remember during the combine talking to Stevie Y, I think was the GM at the time, right? He's like, I don't think you're going to slip to 3, but if you do, 100% I'm taking you. Ooh. So we get to Tampa. I'm like, I'm going to Tampa. Not bad.
You stood up.
Yeah, I'm like wiping my like buttoning my thing up.
You're
on
the stage.
My tie.
Popeye's like, Seth, what are you doing, dude?
Like, what's up, Gary?
Exactly. And then he ended up taking Drouin. So I'm like, oh my god. And I'm kind of fuming at this point. I'm like,
you're Aaron Rodgers.
Shit. Yeah, exactly. And then Nashville took me. Honestly, the best thing that probably could have happened. Living with Shea Weber for a couple months throughout camp and start of the season. I don't think there's a better leader out there over the years, and learning from him, Mike Fisher. It was an older team. So you guys like Barrett Jackman, Mike Fisher, Paul Gostad, just a great team to be on. And, as a 19-year-old coming in, I couldn't have imagined it much better to learn from guys like that.
So I'm curious to hear about like how you felt as that draft went on, because only because when you were 8 years old, when I was drafted, Jay Baumeister, he was supposed to go 1. He was going to go 1. Mm-hmm. He ended up dropping a 3, but I just remember the cameras just kept going to him. Like they picked Rick Nash and then Lettinen, and they're going to Baumeister, mm-hmm. and it's like I can only imagine you must have felt like the whole world was kind of watching you. Shit, exactly. To feel there for a bit, huh?
Yeah, so it was me, my mom, my 2 brothers there, and so 1, the camera's on me. They picked McKinnon, camera's still on me. 2, they come back. They pick Barkov, camera still. And so I'm trying to just like keep myself together and calm so I don't, look like a jackass on camera. And then 3 pass, and I'm like doing everything in my power to keep I'm like clapping. I'm like, so.
At 6, would you have flipped the table? At 6, would you have flipped the table?
No, he's just like this to the camera, Biz.
He's got his ball bag out. He's like, lick my nuts. Right through the zipper,
so
sneaky nut. Whoopsie.
I can to keep calm. So
I think your father played high school basketball in Tennessee. Am I wrong here?
He played college in Dresden. Yeah, Dresden, Tennessee.
Okay, so sorry, it was college.
Murray State.
Did you feel like that maybe Kentucky. It was kind of fate, and did you kind of like be like, hey, this is going to be a great opportunity? Like right away, you're kind of, I don't want to say disappointment led to like, there's some connections there, and I feel comfortable there already.
Yeah. So when I went there, I had a lot of people come up to me. Oh, I remember your dad. This and that. playing against Murray State and these things. So that connection definitely was there with the fans, I think, especially kind of that older crowd, group of fans that kind of watched my dad grow up and play. So that was very comforting to hear that I was definitely welcome in that city and in that organization. Really, it was a great city of the 2.5 years I was there. I loved every single minute of it.
Like I mentioned in your intro, you made the Preds out of your first camp just a few months after being drafted. That's a rare thing. Did you surprise yourself when you pulled that off?
I knew it would be a challenge, just because of the defensemen that were there. We had Weber, Yossi just signed that big deal. Ekholm, Ellis, and then I think it was Anton Blachinka was a defenseman, but you had a few other guys that were there in camp, and it definitely wasn't a walk in the park. I think Rich Kloon was there. I think he gave me the business a couple times in camp on the forecheck. So it got it was tough, playing against those big, strong players for the first time. Yeah.
Weber was just so impressive on and off the ice. I'm curious, on the ice, like, what did you see where you were like, oh my God, I need to add that to my game?
Well, I think the way that he was calm throughout the game, and you kind of knew what you were getting from him every shift, whether it was a big defensive stop, big shot from the point. He always, he was really a game changer. And whether it was offensively or defensively, which is something that I've always wanted to implement in my game. For me, it's not always about, I can put an impact on the game in a lot of different ways than just scoring goals or making offensive plays. And so that's really what I took from him as well.
What's the best on ice and off ice advice you got from Weber?
Oh gosh.
Don't bet on the Houston Rockets when they play in Chicago.
Exactly. They got to be going out the night before every game, I'm sure. I think it was Harden, Dwight Howard, all those guys on the team at the time. But I don't know. I think with the 82 game schedule, just taking care of yourself for the most part. He would always take care of himself off the ice, whether it was, every time he would go in the weight room, he would always be like, let's go to the weight room. Things like that would just, get you in that mindset. And now that I'm, 26 and been in the league for a few years now, and, I see young guys coming into Columbus, and I try to do the same thing with them. If I see a guy not going to the gym, I'm like, hey, let's get in the gym right now. Things like that. So, it's just kind of a rollover effect for me. And I kind of want to, try to be, a leader like Shea Weber to, we have a lot of 19, 20, 21-year-olds on our team that don't know what it's like to play a full season. And so I just try to kind of be that guide for them as well.
Going back to Nashville, you had Phil Housley as a defensive coach as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's on top of all those other guys around you.
Yeah.
By the end of your time in Nashville, were you kind of happy about it in a sense of where there were so many other weapons on D that you were never really going to be able to take that jump if you potentially stayed there? Because you might not even been given the opportunity, given that they'd had Yossi and Weber, even though they ended up trading Weber.
I think so. And that actually started kind of happening that third year, after my second year, and I got traded in the middle of my third year with them, my contract. And, we kind of started seeing that, Weber was ready. I was ready. And Ellis as a righty, who was a great player as well, needed PP time and PK time. So you kind of started seeing this, the coaches maybe struggling to find ice time for certain guys. Not that I got in the way of us winning and playing as a team, but, as young guys, you want to play as much as you can and get your ice time. And so I think they realized that. I didn't think they would trade 2 of the 3 righties, but they ended up doing it. And I was the first one to go. And we kind of knew someone was going to get traded. It's kind of, the defensemen were like, hey, who's going? Because it's got to happen. You can just feel that within a team when something like that's, brewing.
So it became a joke in the locker room between you guys?
A little bit, yeah. Especially the defensemen were like, hey, who's going now?
Hey, coach wants to see you.
Exactly.
You go up to him, hey, you want to see me?
Step into his
office. Yeah.
You got the bag out, Biz, after practice right in front of the gear.
Yeah. Well, pack his bag.
Well,
tape his sticks up.
Hey, yeah, get the trainer to tape his sticks up. That is ruthless. I've heard stories of guys like telling guys they're getting the call up, and then like it wasn't true. I think that happened with and they did end up telling him. The coach had to like play it down, but that's a story for another day. So what did you want to ask?
No, I'm saying when that trade ended up going down, though, it's 2016. What are your initial thoughts? I know you knew somebody was going, but still, it's got to be shocking, nonetheless, to when you get the phone call. Like, where were you? Who told you?
Oh man, I was eating dinner with my ex-girlfriend at the time, or my girlfriend at the time. And it was about 5:00, just sat down, getting a glass of wine or whatever, about to get some appetizers, and get a call from David Poyle. Phone starts ringing. I'm like, and anytime you get a call from your GM, you're like,
panic time.
This isn't right. Something's not right here.
Yeah.
I answer, step outside. He goes, "Hey, Seth, it's David. Just want to let you know I traded you the Columbus Blue Jackets for Ryan Johansson."
Boom.
And I'm like, just like that.
One for one.
Yeah. And I'm just like, all right, like, thank you for the opportunity, to play here and draft me and learn to lap, blah, blah, blah. Hang up, drive home, immediately just break down. Because, it wasn't the fact that I got traded, but it was just something inside you it's like sadness, but fire too at the same time. And it just wanted to make me better. And so I was on a flight 2.5 hours later to Columbus, played a back-to-back, right when I got there. So it was just bing bang. And I didn't have a lot of time to think about it, but it's probably a lot better that it happened mid-season for that reason than, in the summer when you have a couple months to marinate on it. So
like jumping in and because of the games happening so fast, you're gonna get like pretty friendly with guys rather quickly.
Exactly.
I think that is so true. When you're sitting around all summer and you gotta worry about meeting everyone, that would be way worse.
I can't at camp and stuff. So I was jumped in. I had one practice and we flew to Carolina, played my first game there, like the next day. And so
what was your ice time?
Easy to get adjusted to the guys.
Any points in that game? Like right away,
oh, man.
Did you feel like you were just given the reins?
Well, just, I met Torts that next morning. And obviously you hear about Torts, you're like, oh boy, I really got to figure this one out quick or else I may be done. And so I think the first game I played with Cody Golubeff, not there anymore, but one of the first shifts in the game, he tries to go D to D, they go down and score. Torts comes down, we're going 5. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I can't make a mistake. I'm going off the glass every time.
This guy just benched my partner after the first.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean,
it's like the Hunger Games back there.
Exactly.
Next guy, we're going down to 4.
He'd probably go to 3 if he could.
We're going 5 forwards next shift.
He probably has gone to 3 at some point in his coaching career. Along the line, early on, he might have had 3D go in one game. Brought a forward 100%. Back to make it 4.
Yeah.
Well, Grinelli had the opportunity to talk to what's her name? Sorry, Rachel?
Rachel, yes.
Who then got in touch with your mom, and we got to grill her a little bit about you. And she said, ask him about the coaches that kind of enforce the most discipline and have a lot of structure and keep people extremely accountable are the type of coaches you've always loved the most growing up. And of course, I would imagine Torts fits that mold perfectly.
He does 100%. And that's a big thing why I love Torts. You can probably rub guys the wrong way, and not saying he's never rubbed me the wrong way, or I haven't disagreed with him on things, but he only does it to make the team better and as a whole. And so, when my first year I got traded there, it was the last game of the season against Chicago. And this is when Panarin and Kane are just unstoppable. I think it was in 2016, end of that year. And Panarin needed like 3 points, I think, to get a big bonus. And so Kane was going to feed him all game. First shift of the game, they win the faceoff. I fall. Panarin and Kane go down 2-1 goal. I'm like, okay, this is great. Last game of the season. Something else happened. I don't know. Panarin scored again, first period. He's got like 3 points after the first period. And coming for the first intermission, I'm like, my bad boys, like, you got to be better, whatever. Torch comes in. Jonesy, you're like a toilet seat. One shift you're up here, one shift you're down here. He's like, you're going to be sitting on the bench the second period and watch. So I sit the whole second period. And everyone, when everyone, like, you get benched and everyone's like tapping your shin pads.
Yeah.
Man, it is the
Makes
worst.
you feel like a bigger loser.
Whit knows. Whit knows.
It's like, get away from me, guys.
Hey, Biz, at least I got those. You were getting the tap from the coach to say, hey, pregame skate ain't over for you, bud.
And then I end up playing the third period and playing fine. But, little things like that just make you, it's a learning experience, and that's really what Torts does. He puts a lot of pressure on you to be better.
I'll tell you what he does. He makes up for that ice time when you guys go to 5 OTs in playoffs. And you ended up the one game this year when I believe he surpassed what your record was. What did you play, 60 minutes?
I didn't have the record.
60, I think.
I didn't have the record. I was up there, but this guy smashed it all. I mean, what did you feel? Like, you must have – I will say this before I finish the question. I've often told people I didn't feel like that bad after. I felt pretty good, actually. Did you notice that? Like, it's not like it wasn't that hard. 100%. No big deal.
100%. I think after the third period, it is what it is. We've all been to overtime or two. Second and third overtime, I was like, oh, my God, I feel terrible. One of those, you get a 10-second burst and you're just done for the shift. That was like the whole second and third period. Then the fourth overtime started feeling better. And the fifth overtime, I was like, I feel great. I feel like I just started the game. Then we ended up losing, but like my legs were the best of all game in the fifth overtime, which was crazy.
Okay, so what about the next day? Are you bonking? Is it like you just ran a marathon?
Oh yeah, next day we canceled practice. The next day we were there, just like team meeting, video session. But I'm dead. You're sleeping in. You're not doing anything really. But my legs were pretty toast. Yeah.
Torts comes in after the game. He's like, boys, practice is actually in 8 hours, so let's just hang here.
We're gonna move practice up to 8:30.
Yeah, we'll have a video meeting at 7:30. Get you some eggs, and we can just finish practice.
Then we're gonna run some stairs. We're gonna do a 5-mile test, and then I'll have my fat scalpers ready for you guys. Anybody above 10% is going back on the ice.
Well, it is. It is true, though, that when Biz brought up the chance to just play so much more in Columbus and your career has just taken off, becoming a true number one of the best defensemen in the league, if not the best. But after that great run, and personally, it's gotten better and better each year. And then you guys have that season, last year. Mm-hmm. And then everyone's gone, right? Panarin's gone, Duchesne's gone. I mean, how hard is that for you as a leader of the team, seeing so much momentum that you had gotten going that year, just kind of all end pretty quickly?
Yeah, I think we did have some great players. That's probably the best team I've been on, skill-wise and just team-wise. Panarin's obviously a game changer along with Duchesne, and they helped our goal scoring and our just creating chances throughout the whole game a lot, especially against a team like Tampa last year. And, when you lose skill like that, you got to bring in more, a little bit more of a team concept. And so that's really what we focused on in camp. And, when Panarin was there, it's like any great player, you kind of let them do their own thing, and they create chances just out of thin air, out of nothing. So we wanted to play a little bit more of a team game in that sense. And, I thought we did a pretty good job throughout the year. We had a lot of injuries, but the leadership on the team, I think, with Foligno, Atkinson, Jenner, it was very seamless transition. We kind of knew we were, that's kind of the Blue Jacket way, grinding away, win a 1-0 game or a 2-1 game and hold a lead and things like that. So we didn't want to change our identity that we had, but we knew we kind of had to tighten it up a little bit.
Seth, did the team get a little bit of a chip on its shoulder as well, given the changed expectations outside and all the roster turnover?
Yeah, definitely a chip on the shoulder. We talked about that all throughout training camp, all throughout the year. But at the end of the day, we know we have in the room. We don't have to say it out loud to the media or anything. We just keep a straight arrow, and that's towards this whole thing. One day at a time. When you come to the rink, it's business, and then you leave. You do whatever you want after. So I think that really resonates within our team.
What's the biggest misconception about Torts now that you've played for him for a while?
I think, I didn't know Torts back in the day, but you just see a lot of stories with media and things like that.
Brooksy and him got along.
Yeah, that top 10's hilarious on YouTube. I've watched that probably 10 times.
That's exactly what I just thought of.
Exactly. But I think, he just wants to win. And, he probably does things that not everyone agrees with. And he's definitely going to piss off players throughout the season. You're not going to agree with things he does, but getting to know him and playing for him, all he wants to do is win, and he cares about winning, just as much as the players do. So that's one thing I really respect about him.
We had one of your teammates on a few months ago, Elvis Merzlikin's goaltender. This guy seems like a real character. Is he in the locker room as well?
He is. And with goalies, you kind of let them do their thing. But he came in, he had a lot of confidence in the net, which is something that we wanted and we needed. And he had kind of a rough start, but then when Korpisalo got hurt, he came in and did a hell of a job in net for us, made huge saves, won us big games. And he's really part of the reason we even made the playoffs, along with a lot of other guys that came up from Cleveland with all our injuries this year.
Wait, did you have any more questions about Columbus?
No, I was gonna say you're just dummying your boy Werenski in terms of interview on Chiclets. I mean,
man, he's a shy kid, awesome guy. He's just shy.
Great guy. Yeah, he probably didn't say a lot, I'm guessing.
No, well, they're all dummying you in fantasy football, though, right?
Yeah.
Here we go.
They're saying you're pathetic in that.
First of all, my team this year is not the greatest, but everyone's underperformed.
Oh, you're the fan. You're the fan that just.
Carson First of all, let's put it this way: I have Carson Wentz at quarterback.
Oh,
I just need to quit the league.
Yeah,
it's just
okay.
Bad.
Who'd you take with your first pick?
Oh man, I think I took Michael Thomas. Like, my wide receivers are great. I have no running backs, though. That's the problem. Last year I got second. He probably forgot to tell you that. That's my little claim. That's my little fantasy football claim to fame.
Second place.
I got my money back.
It's like me hanging up my silver medal in my house.
Exactly.
Which I did do.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, my team's terrible this year.
Your younger brother Caleb plays for the Edmonton organization. How often do you guys communicate during the season?
Quite a bit. I actually watched him a lot more this year because I was sidelined with the ankle surgery. So I was, sitting on the couch for 6 weeks and got to watch all his games. Always texted him after things like that. But we text quite a bit through the season. Don't bother him too much. We don't bother each other too much just because we both understand what the schedule's like and what we're doing. But he's taken a lot of good steps in the right direction, I think, for Edmonton.
You guys feed each other intel on a common opponents or any of that type of stuff, or no?
No, I think he actually scored. So we played against Edmonton when I was hurt. I was watching on TV. He scored the game winner. It was a terrible goal. He hit like 4 things and went in. But of course, he's texted me right after the game. I would have done that if you were out there too. I'm like, settle down.
I was going to ask you about, you're pretty vocal about the CBD, and I think you've partnered up with a company in order to promote it. I don't know if you got a piece of it and how it's working, but kind of dive into that. I'm a big, CBD advocate, and I think it works big time.
Yeah, for sure. So my trainer here in Dallas was using some CBD, and he ended up just trying it on me, rubbing it on my legs and things like that. Elbows and wrists get pretty sore during the season and training too. So I used it on me. I loved it. It worked wonderfully. I use it every day now. I use it on my knees a lot as well, but it's Uncle Bud's hemp, and it's great. And I got to know, he actually knew the owners who created it, got to know them. Great people, great guys. So I contacted them, wanted to partner up with them, and so I use it every day now.
Are you using it like when you wake up or before bed so it settles in?
I use it before workouts, and then I use it after skates. So I rub it on my thighs after skates. The Body Revive gel is what I love the most, and so I love to rub that on the quads, hamstrings, and knees.
That's what usually gets the most. Hand sanities. Ray actually massages his aunt's feet with it because she has arthritis, so he goes over every night to. What did you say, Ray?
Bursitis, not arthritis.
Oh, jeez.
Well, Seth, we want to thank you so much for coming on. All right, I'm sorry. Did you have another question?
Yeah, I'm just going to say, other than training and working out, how you been killing time to unwind after the season, although it's going to be starting up again soon, hopefully?
Just kind of hanging out. I play a little bit of Call of Duty some days, and play my Warzone with all
I
the
heard
guys.
you're pretty brutal at Call of Duty, though, too.
What's Zach talking about on here? Is he saying that? Is Zach saying
Wierenski told me.
I played with him the other day. I literally carried the team to victory, I think. So I don't know what he's talking about.
Hey, behind the scenes, is he like hilarious? Like, does he just rip guys and shit? Or
yeah, he's got good one-liners. Yeah.
We got to start getting this guy back on and grilling him.
Yeah, you have to.
Do you play golf? If so, you want to do a sandbagger?
I actually do play golf.
Right,
I'm not great. Biz. I don't know what you guys. I don't know. Well, I know Biz isn't good. Are you good?
No, I'm terrible. You're right.
Biz can make some golf shots. I'll tell you that.
I'm shooting I'm shooting mid 90s. Yeah, right. Same thing.
Yes.
Yeah, so okay, we'll go right straight up. I knew you golfed because I saw you in Kelowna when I was filming Biz Does BC, and this guy, he was a big name. I texted him and he agreed to do the Biz Does BC thing, and he hopped in and he gives me a quick pigeon toss and he goes on his way on the golf course. So it fit. And I'll say this: you were like, I told you what we were gonna do, and you're like, yep, got it, and you nailed it for me.
Well, I think I was a little relaxed. I think I had a few beers in me at that point. You may have saw me on the back nine.
Smoking the cron too, or no?
Yeah.
You're like, I got the CBD and the weed, bitch.
Beer in a bowl is Biz's new trademark.
Yeah, we'll get you as a model for my new brand, Beer in a Bowl hiking apparel.
Well, hey, Seth. Next time you come on, actually, you win a Norris Trophy or a cup, you come back on. That's our deal. I'm not even going to give you a chance to say no, but we really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, already gets to vote on it. He gets to vote on all those awards for the league.
Oh, hey, throw on my way, please.
Oh, absolutely, man. No, you've been killing it the last few years. You've been a joy to watch, and it's been a pleasure to have you on the show as well, pal. So thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Huge thanks to Seth Jones for joining us, man. Like I said earlier, just an absolute young stud in the game. And he's a real nice kid. I actually met him years ago, right before he got drafted. He was a 17, 18-year-old kid, and just a real nice kid, easy to root for. So hopefully you enjoyed that as well. And I mentioned Mikey Coleone a few minutes ago. I'm fired up for this story, Biz. The league's going to play a pair of games at Lake Tahoe in February. Like, Boston, Philly, and then also Colorado versus Vegas. There's going to be no fans there. Obviously, there's no Winter Classic or All-Star Game, so this is going to be the signature non-playoff event, and it's pretty fucking cool, Biz, no?
They're going to play on the lake?
Yeah, 2 games on Lake Tahoe, man. The Freddie Coleone Classic.
It gets that cold to where it's going to be that thick where they can like put the boards up and they drill them in and
like the ice. How bad was the ice when we were at the Pond Hockey Classics? I obviously love the NHL ice guy there figuring everything. I think is it still Dan Craig? I might be really outdating myself with that. He's the guy who used to be the head guy for NHL ice and doing the outdoor. He used to work
in Edmonton, right?
I don't know if he was there after. I'm uninformed on this, but he was the guy at one point. So whoever it is now, if it's not him, will be there. But I was shocked to see it. And no fans, you said?
No fans. Nope.
Oh, that is sick. That is going to be such a cool experience for those guys. I don't know if they'll still set up things. There'll obviously be things around the boards for ads and stuff when it's on TV, but what an awesome
They're probably not going to play on the ice, though. Don't you think they'll just like build a rink on the ice? Like, I doubt they're going to use the ponds.
That's kind of what I'm like. How are you going to do do that ice was impossible. Shit.
Yeah, that might be the dumbest thing Wes ever said on the podcast, assuming that they were going to use the lake ice. Can we all agree?
What if they are? Then are you going to be the dumbest human of all time yourself?
Then I'll let you kick me right in the nuts when you get to Scottsdale.
Looking at it now, that was the dumbest, one of the dumber things I've ever said.
Yeah. Welcome to the club, buddy. I do it every podcast.
I just thought the purity of it would be pretty.
They also looked at Lake Louise too, but I don't think the logistics worked on that.
They're gonna play an outdoor game here. They're gonna play an outdoor game here at the Fairmont Princess on the fucking ice where the people skate around.
No, but I saw the funniest thing of all time was Dan Cleary, former Red Wing legend, first man to ever win the Stanley Cup from Newfoundland.
Gave RA a sip from the cup.
Put on skates when we were at dinner there, and go out on the ice pretending that he couldn't skate, which he really couldn't anymore at that point. Just kidding, Bear. It was. I had it on video. I don't know if I still do. One of the all-time classics. people were like, "Oh, look out! He's gonna fall! He's gonna like."
Asking people for tips on how to public skate. Meanwhile,
so what do you do? She's like, push the left foot out, then push the right foot out. Stop like a pizza.
This is kind of late breaking. Darren Dreger on Monday morning said that Mathew Barzal is on the Islanders camp roster in contract talks continue. He's checked in. He had his physical, but he can't scrimmage while a contract. It certainly sounds he's very close to signing if he's all checked in and got his physical. Of course, Barzal is a restricted free agent who just finished his entry-level deal. He's got 59 goals and 148 assists in 234 games played. He's got 24 points in 30 playoff games. What seems like almost, I guess, a done deal that he's going to be there. It'd be a shock if he doesn't.
Yeah, probably. I would hope so. I offer sheet was definitely potential for him if things were a little bit more normal, maybe. But can't you just picture Lou? He's like, the roster. She's like, where's Barzal? They're like, Lou, he's a free agent. He's like, put him on the roster. They're like, he's a free agent. He's like, I don't give a fuck. So he's signing. But now you got to figure at some point here in the next couple of days, it'll get done. But he had made it clear for a while that he wasn't going to really take a huge discount. I always was under that impression, at least.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what this deal is.
Yeah,
I see a line A type of deal where he's getting like $7 or $7.5 million for 2 years. Because I think he would be wise to wait and kind of do the delay where he can get the big ticket, unless they're gonna. I mean,
right now isn't the time to sign that.
No, I speaking of memes or gifs or gifs, whatever the fuck you call them, when they announced that there was like a potential holdout with Barzal, it's the pretends to be shocked on the pretends that gif going. So, I mean, if I'm him, I would hold out as long as possible because I think he's worth every goddamn penny, and I don't think the way he plays is necessarily fun playing it in that system.
You want to hold out so bad, Biz.
Oh my God. When I read that, I was fucking loving
the Islanders.
Yeah, I like a little drama off the ice.
I'll
too.
dummy myself to Barzal holding out for the Islanders and just thinking of their fans being miserable.
Yeah.
How about Borelli? Frankie.
Yeah, looks like he got in a car accident and swallowed the airbag. Yeah, he's enormous.
Yeah, he came down to Arizona for a little bit. They were eating good on the company card.
Holy shit.
Is that what he was doing?
I think he came down here to get some golf stuff with the Foreplay guys, and they must have been going out to Ocean Club, all the fancy restaurants. It must have been glutton. Easy. Is glutton the word I'm thinking of?
Yeah, probably. If it was just a bad picture, that's one thing. But
I think it could have been, right?
Yeah. As a guy who might have more than one chin in the picture, I can relate. So,
oh man,
if he gets gout, then we're gonna definitely know it was them swiping the credit card at the nice restaurants.
The fucking worst. You ever get that, Biz? Gout?
I've gotten it a couple times. Yeah, it hurts.
Brutal. When you can't put a bed sheet on your toe because it hurts too much.
That's actually why Witt retired. Was gout. He didn't even realize he was eating so good.
I had so many Swedish meatballs in Orangekoldsvik. It was gout to the end.
Couple of it. Well, one other note in the Islanders. Lou did confirm that the Islanders re-signed Matt Martin and Andy Green. And they also signed goalie Corey Schneider to a 1-year, $700,000 deal. Obviously, he was with the Devils last year. Lou knows him from way back then. So he's trying to, I guess, resurrect his career a little. He'll be backing up to start. So good luck to Corey with his new squad. Defenseman John Marino signed a 6-year extension with Pittsburgh worth $26.4 million. It's a $4.4 million cap hit. The extension kicks in after this season. Pittsburgh must really like what they saw from this kid after just 1 year with 6 goals and 20 assists. Biz, I know you wanted to chime in here.
Well, Carlo Koliakovo was online tweeting out, and he's like, this is the new league, man. 56 games played, this guy showed. It's very small sample size. You talk to anybody from Pittsburgh, they love this guy. Yeah. Doesn't outshine with his numbers. I think would you say he had 6 goals, 20 assists, but just as far as two-way game and his ability to not make mistakes out there and how good he is as a shutdown defenseman, they seem to think this is a steal and this is going to be a glorious deal in 2 or 3 years. I'm more like, you got 56 games as a sample size, 1 fucking year. So, I think it's a bit of an aggressive move, but you see a lot of teams making it with the way the league's heading now. They're with the cap situation where it is. They're trying to get these guys out playing their contract. So it should be interesting. I've heard nothing but positive things about this guy though. Witt.
Yeah, he had a great rookie year. And how many games played did he have? 26 points.
56.
Yeah, so I mean, you're just under a 40-point pace, 41-point pace in the NHL as a rookie, and you go back to his last year. He played 3 years at Harvard. Now he's picked by Edmonton. I have no clue. He's a Massachusetts guy. I have no clue what happened in terms of if they didn't sign him, if there was a trade. I don't know.
Same thing as Schultz. They thought he wasn't good, and then he went over there and won a cup or two.
Well, no, but Schultz, I'm wondering how they lost him to even like sign him to an entry-level deal, whereas they kind of got Schultz. But if I like have looked at numbers and heard what I've heard about his game and how solid he looked, it makes sense, because you are trying to guess right and overpay a guy to in 3 or 4 years be severely underpaying him. It's the exact opposite of getting the 31-year-old UFA. So it makes sense there. I didn't really understand that his last year at Harvard, Adam Fox was on that team. He dominated the entire college hockey scene that year. He had over a point per game, a lot over a point per game. That same team, Marino had 11 points on a Harvard team that was pretty solid. Like you said, it's not necessarily his numbers that's going to get it done, because that shows he was good enough to play in the NHL the next year defensively and away from the puck that year at Harvard. So it didn't take him a ton of time or even need to go to the minors at all. So I think it's a great signing. I know it's early, and that was a good point by Carlo online, but that's just the current league it is.
All right. We got a few other signings here to make note of.
One more thing. He played for the South Shore Kings.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I was a member of that team.
Is that the one that went to the Pee Wee Championship?
Yeah, we won it in '97, but he was a member of them before he went to the USHL. Yeah, so Shore Kings.
No shit.
Never knew that.
No shit, Russ. Is that from Christmas Vacation? I did watch
Isn't that when he's looking at her like thong she's wearing?
Oh my god, that girl at the desk.
Oh my god.
Oh.
And that's then the one at the pool when he sees the dreams of the pool. That girl.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Rocket.
Yeah.
That's like I think that might have been the first time I got a boner when I saw that movie and saw her in that scene. She kind of reminds me of like a Kelly Kapowski from Saved by the Bell, and they aged
with a European flair.
So there was a picture that came out of that girl who was in Christmas Vacation when she was like, I think she's like 50 or 60 now. She's still a smoke. So she's aged unbelievable. That's why I gave the Kelly Kapowski comparison.
He just got caught cranking it to Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
He was fucking 13.
Yeah, Finnegan's.
That's gets him in the mood for the season.
For the fourth time. All right. Moving right along with the signings. Edmonton signed restricted free agent defenseman Ethan Bear to a 2-year deal worth $4 million, $2 million cap hit. Arizona did indeed sign Derek Brassard, 1-year deal worth $1.2 million. You guys want to chime in? Just jump right in. The Blackhawks signed forward Dylan Strome to a 2-year deal worth $6 million. The Blues signed restricted free agent defenseman Vince Dunn to a 1-year deal worth $1.875 million. Defenseman Travis Hamonic is going to be on a PTO with Vancouver. It sounds like it's similar to the Hoffman situation where they're just doing it for logistical reasons and money reasons, but I'd be shocked if he doesn't end up there.
That's a pretty good replacement in the fact that they lost Tanev.
Yeah.
Like they didn't really have anyone to step in that role there. I know they picked up Schmidt, but Berkey came on and he described how that's going to be a big hole for them. That's a nice little plug right there. And this is a Vancouver team where they say they're looking to build off of last season and with the roster that they had. And I know Schmidt's a bit of a juggernaut offensively from the back end and what he can do mixed in with Quinn Hughes. That's a nice 1-2 punch, but to get Hamonic, that's a game changer.
And a righty.
Unless you're
Russian.
Unless you're Russia, where you got fucking 20 lefties on the squad.
One-time guest on the show, Scott Dowling, goaltender. He's going to be on a PTO at Florida. Of course, Sergei Bobrovsky is their starter. Right now, Chris Drija is their backup. So they're bringing him in on a PTO. I don't know if it's to get a little competition going or what. Good luck to Dowling, though. We'd love to see him resurrect his NHL career. In Minnesota, some big news out of there. Defenseman Jared Spurgeon was named captain of Minnesota. He's the longest tenured player on the roster. This will be his 11th season. He's just the second full-time captain in team history. Parise and Suda will have the A's. Spurgeon was a 6th-round pick by the Islanders. Didn't end up signing with them. Ended up signing with Minnesota as a free agent, and now he's a cornerstone of the franchise. I know what you've been singing his praises for a long time on this show.
Yeah, that was kind of no surprise who they went with there. And he's been severely underrated long enough where I think people now know. It's changed a little bit. And a guy that I think has shown not only on the ice but off the ice in the room. He may not be a very loud guy, but he's quietly going about doing the right thing every day on and off the ice. So congrats to him. It's pretty cool to be a captain in the National Hockey League.
And the first big contract that Billy G gave out. And, I kind of was thinking afterward about it. I'm sure, I don't know if it was probably a surprise to Parise that he didn't get it, but probably sucks that when he planned on going back home, he probably planned on one day being the captain in Minnesota, and for obvious reasons, in the fact that his name has came up and as far as trades concerned moving forward here. And I can't imagine he's there longer than another 2 years, but
I don't know though, because he signed, Mikko Koivu's there and only a year older than him, and he was the captain. I don't think he would I mean, obviously he would have hoped for that, but getting older and him battling injuries, I mean, I'm speaking for him, but I don't think he'd be really shocked by that.
Okay.
Maybe I'm completely wrong there. It's never happened until I thought.
No, I just thought that the way it all went down, I'm sure that, I would say that Spurgeon was probably the obvious pick, but it's probably a letdown given that he, at one point probably thought if Koivu was gone, he was going to end up being the leader of that team when he signed that contract. Originally, that's kind of where I was going. So,
you're
not to take anything away from Spurgeon, I think he's the right man for the job. And Billy G ended up going over his house to tell him face to face. And I think what does Spurgeon have? He has 4 daughters or 4 kids, and one of the girls was like, "What?" Like she thought he showed up to fire his dad. So
yeah, Garen said, "You know why I'm here?" He said, "You fire my dad?" And everybody started laughing. I guess it was a funny little icebreaker. So
yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff, man. That was Billy Guerin. I mean, he's a guy who, he's GM now, but he was as much of a warrior as anybody on the ice. So he knows a player mentality, and that's a good move going to the house like that and giving him a heads up before they presented him to the team. So keeping with the leadership theme here, Ottawa will not be going with the captain this season, but instead have named 3 alternate captains. Defenseman Thomas Chabot and Eric Goodbranson will be assistants, along with 21-year-old forward Brady Tkachuk. You got to think Chabot or Tkachuk will be the captain probably next season. I guess they're going to see how it goes this year, but congrats to those guys. Man, I'm telling you, Ottawa, I might sound crazy, but I'm throwing something on them for the cup, man. First Gambling Corner will be back when the season starts next week, and I'm going to find the best odds I can on this squad. I don't know. I like what they're doing. And again, it all hinges on Matt Murray getting back to his game. But this is a team, they get in the playoffs, man. I think anything can happen. It's like a 200-1 odds. You can't resist
the young legs. You like the young legs, don't you?
Yeah.
Hey,
well,
if that Jake Sanderson can step in, and all of a sudden you got another NHLer out of nowhere who's a young gun, do you think there's a possibility that he can step right in with
Sanderson?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if they've come out and said that is the plan or not, or he's going to get a good chance. Stutzel, no doubt, is going to be there. That Sanderson kid, it's always a little tougher for a defenseman, but I mean, he skates easily well enough to play in the NHL. He's a big kid. I have no idea the plan, but I could see him for sure playing games this season.
Yeah.
So he played 3 games this year for North Dakota, so I guess he's probably going back. I don't know.
All right, we'll keep an eye on it. We do have some congratulations we want to send to a couple of recently retired guys. Ryan Callahan, of course, he didn't play last year. He had a back injury, but he officially retired. Played 13 years with the Rangers and Tampa Bay. Of course, he wore the C in Manhattan. Went to the Stanley Cup final back in 2012. And Mark Letestu retired after 11 NHL seasons split between Pittsburgh, Columbus, Edmonton, and Winnipeg. He was an undrafted free agent, got 210 points in 567 games played. So congrats to these two guys. Obviously, both beloved teammates, and enjoy retirement, man. That's what we love to tell the guys on here. A couple other notes before.
Was a warrior.
Yeah.
I played with him in the Olympics, and just every single shift, dude, it was like this kid was just hitting anything that moved, blocking shots. He did it the hard way for a long time. So congrats to him. And I saw that
guys lick him.
Oh, he had to get licked by Marchand. His cousin, too. I saw his cousin has a business that the Barstool Fund helped.
Yep.
So that was good to see.
Yeah. Well, what are we, 17, 18 million have we raised so far? It's awesome.
Donate if you can.
Yeah.
Speaking of Letestu, another guy who came out of the Pittsburgh system. He played in the ECHL for a couple games with the Wheeling Nailers, played a little bit in the American Hockey League with Wilkes-Barre, and found a nice little groove in the NHL with Columbus and Edmonton. And carved out a really good career. Very similar to, we talked about Ego last episode. It just seems like that system has just created a lot of NHLers.
I screwed up. The Rangers won the cup in 2014, not 2012. Little quick correction for you, Biz.
Okay.
I fuck up like that.
Yeah.
All right, a couple more notes before we send it over to our pal Ray Ferraro. What do we got here? The Preds will not have fans in the building to start the season. I know some teams are going to have limited fans. Some have none. The Preds said they're not going to have any to start the season. And how about this, Biz? We talk about your fabled 03 draft class quite a bit. 7 of the top 15 selected in the 2003 draft are in training camp right now. Marc-Andre Fleury, Eric Stahl, Ryan Suter, Braden Colburn, Jeff Carter, Dustin Brown, and Brent Seabrook actually is in camp, but I had something come up last second. But that's a pretty impressive list for 17 years later, no?
Plenty more, too. I believe Ryan Getzlaf was a late first rounder, and he's the closest one to 1,000 games right now. So best of luck. I think he's at like 960 or 970. I'm telling you, man, not only the high level of skill in that draft and how deep it was, but the longevity of these guys' careers. And you look, even if you look at some of the guys that have been retired, the amount of miles that they put on when they did play. I mean, Richards was another guy who retired fairly early. You mentioned Jeff Carter, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he's one of those guys too. So 85 was a crazy year, man. I couldn't even sniff World Juniors that year.
Oh, the fucking age year was sick. 83 sucked.
That's why you went 5th.
Exactly.
One other last note here. The AHL is expecting to start their season on February 5th. I want to pass that along. And before we get to Ray Ferraro, we obviously talk about chiclets on the show quite a bit, but did you know most people still use a manual toothbrush, even though dentists recommend electric brushes because they're proven to be more effective? Why go analog when digital is available? That's why you want to get yourself a Brush electric toothbrush. I love the just left the dentist clean feeling after I used the Brush on my choppers, not to mention the long battery life. Also, you get 6 unique modes to customize your brushing experience. There's a 4-week battery life, magnetic charging stand, and a compact travel case. And with the subscription program, you'll never forget to change your brush head again. Brush ships you new replacement heads every 6 months, so you're never stuck using a worn-down brush head. And you can't beat the sleek design. Brush's electric toothbrush has a modern, aesthetically pleasing design, comes from trend-driven seasonal colors, and looks great in your bathroom counter. You get 15% off your Brush toothbrush kit and refill plan when you use the promo code Chiclets at Brush.com. That's 15% off using the promo code Chiclets, CHICLETS, at Brush.com. That's BRUUSH.com. Keep those chiclets clean. Go get some Brush. And now we're going to send it over to Ray Ferraro for his World Junior Championship expertise. Well, our next guest is making his 3rd appearance in the show. I'm not sure if he's the first-time member of the 3-time club here on Spittin Chiclets. He played 18 NHL seasons, and he's currently in the World Junior Championship bubble in Edmonton, providing his excellent analysis for TSN. It's a pleasure to welcome back to the Spittin Chiclets podcast, Ray Ferraro. Ray, thanks for joining us.
You bet. Happy New Year to everybody. Hope everybody's doing good.
Happy New Year to you as well. How's the bubble going? You getting a little antsy in there or what?
Yeah, I don't think I understood really what the bubble was like when the NHL guys were talking about it, but there's literally nowhere to go. I'm in my room, I go to eat, I got to have my pass on because they track wherever you go. You walk downstairs, you walk out the front door, and it's literally a 7-second walk to the car that takes you to the rink, and it's 10 seconds into the rink. That's it. There's nowhere else to go. If you wanted to go for a walk, the only place you can go is around the concourse in the rink.
Well,
there's nowhere.
Wow.
I see that bike behind you. You must have a pretty good VO2 max, though, just putting on the miles in your room right now.
The only concern is not to be a fat bugger by the time I go back home. So I'm right. Yesterday with football on, I sat on that bike and watched football kind of most of the day. What else are you going to do? There's literally nothing to do. I can't even think of it. I watched a movie yesterday. It's the first one I watched. I'm way behind in movies, but I watched The Gentleman. Have you seen that?
How is that? I never saw it.
Okay. Are you, did you like the Guy Ritchie movie, Snatch and Lock, Stock and Two Smoking?
Oh yeah. That's a good one.
This is exactly the same. It's awesome. I loved it. And so that was like my big entertainment for the week so far.
Get a little vino from room service at least?
I got to tell you, Craig Button is the king. I don't know what he brought. He lives in Calgary, so he drove up here. I don't know what else he brought in his trunk, but we have not been out of a bottle of red yet. It was his birthday yesterday. We have a little dinner. He brings the wine. Like, it's like, that's awesome, man.
He's selling it to the kids in the tournament, making a few bucks on the side.
These guys can't, when they lose, they can't wait to get going, man.
Oh, my God.
They're all 18, 19 years old. They've been in like quarantine for some of them for 2.5, 3 weeks. Then they get into the bubble. Oh. They want to live, right? Like, so they're out of here on the next day. They don't even have a choice, man. Like they lose out, boom, they're gone. They're out of the bubble.
Given the circumstances, did you notice a slower start to the tournament overall because of what every team had to go through?
Yeah, it's been weird, all of it, really. Like the kids, most of them hadn't played much, right? And so like Canada had 5 guys that had played a game this year when they started. The US, a few more. There were a lot of the European kids, they came here and, because their leagues were going, but they'd played 9 games, 7 games, and then they came here and they had to quarantine. And so anything that they'd done conditioning wise had pretty well been shot. And then the poor German team, man, those guys had to go into quarantine again. Oh. And it's been weird with no fans. I don't think I ever really, this is sad to say, but I don't think I appreciated how much the fans mean to the game. Like, I always say, oh yeah, we play hard anyway and we go do our thing. But man, it's just not the same without the energy, without the fans, without the ups and downs. And I know you guys probably too, but it's not the same watching it like football, baseball,
everything,
hockey, everything. It's just not the same.
I said to somebody that I cannot wait for this pandemic to end. Like one of the biggest things being fans back at sports. I don't care if I'm there in person, it's watching them exactly like you say. And I think that definitely helps Russia tonight. I mean, well, now this is Tuesday morning, but to not have to play against Canada with the fans, I mean, that's a game changer because I experienced it in Halifax. They'll run you right out of the building.
So you guys are playing, you're young, you're teenagers, right? And the emotion ups and downs of teenagers, man, like everything's the best or everything's the worst. And if Russia gives up an early goal today, I don't think they get rattled like they might otherwise. And, this place would be madness tonight. Like it really would inside there. Like we notice it when you call the goals, when there's just no ups and downs to the game. And I think it is an advantage to Russia. I'm really super fascinated with how they're trying to play. Like Igor Larionov, I don't know if you guys ever had a chance to meet him. He is like one of the coolest guys. Like he has done everything. And I just read something today. He says, I want our players to play the game, not work the game. He's like, I want him to handle the puck. And I'm like, oh my God, would I love to play for him? Oh. So we'll see how it works.
I'd hate it.
You wouldn't be on the team, Biz.
Yeah, I'll be on waivers.
But it's just a whole different world. I like it.
Ray, the Russians have just one righty skater on their team. Have you ever seen that on any league or format before? Just one righty skater on a roster?
Not like that, but they always seem to have very few right-handed shots, and I don't get it. And they asked, James Duthie asked Igor about it the other day. They were on, I don't know if you guys have seen that. They do that hologram
they beam
thing.
them up.
Yeah, it's really cool. And Igor said, I don't know. I don't know why we don't have more than one. It's the weirdest thing to look at. And the one guy, of course, he stands out like a sore thumb. Like he's the only guy that with a right-handed stick on the team. It's weird.
Now I want to get into a couple different players throughout the tournament. And when we're on Russia, the goalie Askarov, it's interesting to me because you hear about all the potential and how good he is. And then there's times, I don't know, I've seen him look really good. I've seen him look kind of sloppy. What do you see in terms of his game and really translating to that next level, forgetting just this tournament?
Well, okay. Last year when we got to the tournament though, like last year, they were like, oh my God, this kid's the best goalie since Carey Price, best 17-year-old goalie since Carey Price. And in the tournament, he looked like he was jittery, and he was like, his hands were always moving. And I'm like, man, this kid's not ready to play. And so this year he looks more solid, but man, he spits rebounds out all over the place. He's lost his stick a half a dozen times. He looks like an unmade bed sometimes. And I'm like, I don't get it. Like he's really good, but I don't get why he just kind of loses his whole frame in the net. He can't play in the NHL like this. They'll shred him at the NHL level. Yet tonight, like as you said, it's Tuesday morning, like the semifinals are tonight. Tonight, he could be the best guy on the ice. Like I can see why Nashville took him. The potential's clearly there, but holy smokes, man, he's all over the place. It's really, I don't quite get it. I don't quite, because they told us, like, next to Vasilevsky, he's the best Russian goalie prospect that they've had. When Vasilevsky was in this tournament at 17 and 18, that kid was a stud. He was just, I mean, it didn't always go perfect, but he was a rock. And this guy, I'd be a little nervous, standing behind him.
Speaking of prospects that are NHL ready, I'm going to read your quote. This might take a while on Tim Stützle.
Sorry.
Yeah. If you got,
I got a long quote again. Shocker.
Oh no, it's his reading.
No, it's my reading. It's my reading,
Okay.
Ray. I might struggle with this. I don't think there's a player in the tournament more NHL ready, and I mean not even close, than Tim Stützle. Like what separates him from all these other guys? And I would imagine that he goes to Ottawa and he starts this season in the NHL.
I can't think of anything that Ottawa will throw at him that this kid can't handle. He's a stud. Like he plays with pace. He's fast. He's tough. He's determined. He scores. He makes plays. I don't see how he can miss. Like there's certain players you look at this level and you go, man, he's really good here, but maybe he's not quick enough, or maybe he's not tough enough. This kid has got everything. Ottawa is so lucky to have this kid. There's no way he's playing anywhere else than Ottawa. He's too good. And here's the other thing I think is a big advantage. And so Witt did it in reverse when you went to Russia and can't speak to anybody. And it's just like, you're living in a freaking cave, right, by yourself. He speaks really good English. He understands everything. I think it's going to make him way more comfortable coming in.
I look over at Team Canada, and there's just so much talent. And like a lot of people have talked about Dylan Cousins, what a player. But the two guys that I wonder about, and I look at and I see Cole Perfetti, right? And people talked about how he dropped to 10th and what a pick for Winnipeg, right? And then I look at this Connor McMichael, and he was 25th in the same draft. These two guys, it's like I can't imagine a more well-rounded hockey player than Connor McMichael. And to see him like drop in the draft, I know maybe he's a little undersized, but these guys, they're so good, so young. Yeah. What do you see in terms of their potential at that next level, those two in particular?
Well, Perfetti he's a really interesting case because his game is going to be offense. And right now, like as an 18-year-old in the tournament, 19-year-old, like they're young, they're not strong yet. Yeah. And so I think right now, to project him onto an NHL roster, I'd say he's not quite quick enough or strong enough, but that's going to come. But the guy can pass and he can score. Like they're playing him on the wing here because Canada's got so many centers. Winnipeg projects him as a centerman in the middle of the ice, and I think that's a good spot. Just read this thing about McMichael this morning. The guy he patterns himself after is Nick Backstrom. Man, if you can be anywhere near Nick Backstrom, you're a hell of a player.
Good start.
The kid does a lot of things for them. Backstrom does everything for Washington. But the two most NHL ready players for Canada by a mile are Cousins, who's a Buffalo pick, and Bowen Byram, who's just another Colorado draft pick. They got like 10 young defensemen, and Byram's the next one.
And Byram, I don't know if it's like the gear wear or just what he's Duncan Keith Jr. It's like there's so many things that remind me of Duncan Keith watching this kid, and I can't wait to see him at the next level. Colorado, it's a sick joke what they have coming. Who's the other D-man on Canada that's there?
In Colorado?
Yeah, he's Colorado pick.
Cale Makar. Well, Cale Makar went last year. Canada's got Justin Barron, who was their first rounder this year. They've got Drew Hellison, who was a second rounder, plays for the U.S. Like 3 years ago, they had no players, and now they're like, I don't know what they're going to do with them all. It's pretty awesome problem for Colorado to have.
Ray, which NHL team do you think has been happiest about its draftees' play?
Oh, boy. Well, I think Detroit's probably pretty thrilled. They've got half the Swedish team, and I know they just lost. But, oh, my God, man. Like, every guy, you're doing research, and I'm like, it's another Detroit guy. It's another Detroit guy. And then they had two guys that got pulled out for COVID positive tests, or they would have been on the team. Like, Detroit's got to be really happy. Anaheim, I'm sure they got to love Trevor Zegras, who's leading the tournament in scoring. But Canada's got another defenseman, Jamie Drysdale, who they took sixth. And it's one thing to have a lot of prospects in the tournament. You know, Detroit's got 9, Ottawa's got 9. Anaheim's got 2 really high-end guys in Drysdale and Zegras. And, you know, that's pretty cool for a team that's, you know, transitioning the page a bit.
One guy that kind of flew under the radar was that, early on in the tournament, Jake Sanderson, and people are saying that he's been a standout as well. Another guy, 5th overall, same big left ear, just like Witt to Ottawa. Have you been impressed with him so far?
I have. Witt, did you play against his dad?
I did get the chance to play against Jeff. What
Jeff
a skater.
Was fast. And Jake looks exactly the same. They wear the same number. And I'm like, holy smokes. I wish they looked like they were trying when they skated.
They
just go so fast, and they're like, whoosh, up the ice. Jake's, of course, he's 18 years old. He's the best D-man on the United States. And, of course, he's going to get stronger and better and bigger. And, man, he's another guy that's just, you know, Ottawa's got these, you know, all these picks, but they got high-end guys. And I guess that's, you know, when you suck, you get to the top of the draft, and then you got to make the right pick. But, you know, they got Stützle and Sanderson 2 picks apart. Holy man, that's building block stuff there.
Ray, on Saturday, we saw 4 relatively tight quarterfinal games. Are teams like Germany, the Czechs, the Slovaks, are they sort of collectively closing the gap on Canada, USA, Russia, Sweden, Finland a little? Not that they'll ever catch them, but.
Right. I think it's a race they can't win because of the sheer numbers of players. But what those teams are really good at is, for one game, they can rev up their A game, and they keep the games tight. The tough thing in this tournament, and I don't think people quite understand it, is, you know, like some people are ragging on Switzerland and Austria this year. Of course, Austria is just, you know, they qualified for the tournament and it's their first time and they got smashed. But the Swiss are generally really good. Oh, yeah. They're always a pain in the ass. Well, this year they got a bunch of 17-year-olds because all their players aged out. It's like you can't play forever. It's 20 years old, you're out of the tournament. And so you don't have an endless flow of players like Canada and Russia and the US and Sweden and Finland do. So you get burned. You got a thin group. Germany's got 11 guys coming back next year. I think they're going to be really good. Well, one of the guys not coming back is Stützle. So they're not going to be as good. But those quarterfinals, honestly, Mike, I was nervous because I was like, man, what if these games are all like just tomato cans? I don't, who wants that? We don't want to broadcast them. You don't want to watch them.
Right.
And yet those kids played their asses off, and they were all really close games.
Could you see a potential restructure of the tournament? I know people every year it comes up when the first games come out and teams are getting blown out. You mentioned Austria. I think they scored 1 goal the whole tournament, 0-4. And a lot of the guys who did help them qualify for the tournament, they're no longer there, right? I think they lost about 19-year-olds. Do you think there's a different potential structure so it does make it more competitive and it does make it seem like the gap is closing when the tournaments actually do take place?
It would be by far the best way to go. But logistically, it just can't happen. And this is why. Austria is a great example. They qualified. They had the best goalie in the tournament at the top scorer, who's an NHL draft pick, plus these 6 or 7 other 19-year-olds, and they're all gone. In theory, they should qualify. That qualifying tournament to get here to the World Juniors should be in the summer. But to do that, then when does the teams that qualify for the second level tournament, when do they have it? And the teams that qualify for the next tournament, when do they happen? The IIHF puts on, I think, 32 tournaments. We just see this one. But when does the under 18 happen? Well, you can't have the under 18 at the same time as the qualifying tournament for the World Junior. And so eventually there's just no time to do it. For this tournament, 100%, it would be the best way. The team that qualifies is the team that plays. But logistically, it just can't happen.
Another guy I'm kind of curious to get your opinion on is Cole Caulfield. And now you came into the league at a way different time when it was really difficult to make it as an undersized guy. You played forever. It's easier now, but still the question remains when you're really undersized, is it Johnny Gaudreau or is it someone who can't handle it? What's your kind of perception on his game and what he needs to do to maybe get to that next level? And can he be an elite scorer there too?
Well, he better be, because like that, you get boxed in pretty quickly into, can you be a multi-faceted guy? Can you do lots of things, or do you do one thing? And if you do one thing, you better do it at a very elite level. So when I'm watching Caulfield, man, I love the way he shoots. I like the way he skates. He's a little bowling ball. Like, he's a thick, not tall, but he's thick. He better find a B game, because the A game isn't there all the time. We all know, like, you play your B game way more than your A game. Once in a while,
I bet 80%, 80%.
How about those days where the puck just follows you around and you're zipping every pass, and every chance you get is a shot on goal or a good play? That happens like once in a while. That's why Nate McKinnon and Crosby and all those guys at the top of the league, Austin Matthews, that's why they are who they are. The rest of us play the B game 80% of the time, and you're kind of muddling around. So Cole Caulfield has got to figure out what his B game looks like, because otherwise the coach is going to look at him sitting on the bench and go, he doesn't have it tonight, he's not getting any chances, I can't use him. And that's a real challenge that a little guy has that a big guy doesn't, because a big guy can go out there and crash around a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I think that around the net, there's no question. It's more about like coming over the blue line, creativity and making plays happen, as opposed to just standing there and burying it from a great centerman. So I'm really rooting for the kid, but I was curious what you thought. That does make sense.
He's an awesome kid too, Whit.
I've heard nothing but great things.
2 years ago, my brother-in-law, Tony Granato, who coaches the University of Wisconsin, they came up to Vancouver and played a couple of preseason exhibition games against the University of BC. And so we had them at our house for a barbecue. First of all, I can't tell you how much meat we bought for this barbecue. There's like 25 20-year-old kids coming. And I said to Cammie, we're going to be eating steaks here for like a month. Those guys, they left like the Fred Flintstone bones left. There was nothing left.
Clog the toilet too. Just look at these young guys, man.
They had the yellow tape across the bathroom. Sorry, guys, you're not going in there.
Yeah, you rented a couple porta potties.
You got a porta potty in the back.
These kids were unbelievable. I couldn't believe how mature they were. How like Caulfield and Turcotte in particular stood way out. I got little guys, right? My kids, I think at the time, were 9 and 12, and they spent time with them. They played. We had the soccer thing going, and they brought our little guys into the game. Like, they're really easy guys to cheer for.
Ray, Canada, obviously the big favorite in the tournament. If perchance they don't end up winning the gold, what would the likely reason be?
Their power play hasn't been very good. That's really about the biggest weakness I see to them. Or maybe Askarov plays one of those games in goal tonight that, is on that way great side. He is the wild card in the game against Canada. They won the U18 when he was the goalie, and apparently he was just unbelievable. And so if he does that, that's probably the reason. Canada is so deep.
Oh, it's a joke. Canada,
really
Russia.
Yep.
Canada, Russia has that. It's like 99% of the time, doesn't matter overmatch. It's going to be a great game. Those two countries just battle it out. And I think last year in the gold medal game, was Russia up 2-0 or
3-1 in the third?
3-1 in the third. So tonight's going to be crazy. We're going to hop on after. So this is kind of, people will be laughing listening, but still it's exciting to see finally when this tournament gets down to the semis, it just reaches that next level. And you watch guys who are going to be stars in the NHL perform at a high level internationally. Nothing beats it.
Well, here's one other thing. We've talked a little bit about the U.S., Canada, and Russia, and we haven't talked about Finland yet. And the Finns are a pain in the ass every year, every tournament. You look at their roster, they never look good enough, and they're always there. Like the grit and the heart that those guys play with, they never change. They just change the players and they bring in 18 new guys, and they're all the same. I love watching that team. They just never go away. They're like a rock in your shoe. You just can't move it to the comfortable spot. They never go away.
Those Scandinavians. Ray, we got to ask you about the fact in Brandon, where you played junior, they're going to name a street after you. There's been a few guys in the past that have had streets named after them. Now, do you know exactly where this street's going to be in the town?
I have no idea. I've not, haven't talked to anybody about it. I wake up on Twitter the other day and, I'm like, what? Geez. And then I get a bunch of texts. And of course, everybody's really supportive, right? It's going to be a one-way street. It's going to be a short street. It's going to be a
Razor. It's going to be that little road the Zamboni drives out of the arena to dump the snow.
Dump the snow right across there. That's exactly. It will be nowhere near our defensive zone. I can tell you that. But I can tell you, even if it's a short little street, my kids play soccer in a suburb of Vancouver, Burnaby, and Burnaby Joe Sakic is he's the king of Burnaby, right? There's a street behind the soccer fields from the Burnaby community rinks. This street is probably, I don't know if it's 400 yards long. It's Joe Sakic Way.
At Burnaby 8 rinks?
Yeah, it's just beyond Burnaby 8 rinks. It's the shortest street ever. And I'm like, it's Joe Sakic, man. He should have like the main street.
Give him the highway.
He should have the highway.
Yeah, man, if I get a little one, that's okay. I'll take that. That's great. I'm really, it's kind of cool, actually.
Oh, big time.
Absolutely.
That's a big honor. I went to Bakersfield when I was playing in the AHL, and the back street where the rink is Corn Avenue. I didn't realize the band Corn was from there. And they even have the R backwards like they do on the cover of the album. So
see, that's sweet. Then you go, that's our street.
Yeah.
But Whit may be right. It might be right where the Zamboni goes to dump the snow, that big snow pile behind the rink.
The salt rips through the asphalt quick. They got to replace it.
Yeah. I fucking hate this street.
One of my buddies said, I'm sure it's got real strong Italian curbing on the side. We're big on concrete, right? My dad owned the concrete plant. So that's, I think that's really.
Oh, they didn't tell you? You actually have to make the road. That's the only.
I did not. I just learned that. That's impressive stuff.
This year, I'm curious, with COVID and the players on the road, kind of in bubbles when they're traveling on the road, what will it be like for you traveling to do games for TSN?
I don't know.
Oh,
we don't know yet.
Okay.
So our boss who runs this tournament from the TV side, he's like, he's over his head right now. Like he's doing the tournament. He's doing our scheduling. They're trying to still get clarification from the leagues, but also from the provincial governments, how many people are allowed in the rink. So just because I'm the way I am, every time I see him, I say, hey, have you got my NHL schedule yet? Like there's not a chance he's got it. So I asked him 3 times yesterday. And the third time he walked by and he just put his hand up like, don't even start. So we don't know it. We have no idea.
One more thing I was going to ask you about is Gord Miller, one of the best in the business, so good at play-by-play. What's it like working with him every game?
He's a machine, honestly. Like when he's focused, he gets this walk going, right? Like to the booth or when we're going from hotel to cab or whatever. And he's got kind of like not a 45-degree lean, but it's more kind of upright. But I can't keep up to him because he's just got to get there. He's got to go. He learns all the names in the tournament. This is don't
even start.
Oh man, it's so hard.
We struggle
to get them right because of course nobody ever texts you and says, hey, you're getting all the names right. They just text you and go, hey, stupid, you got those 4 Russian names and those 6 Czech names wrong. Well, Gord has tracked down, like this is exactly what he's like. He's tracked down every PR guy for the 10 teams. He's got the teams to go to their players and audio voice their own name into a Word file. Then he produces this Word file. I got it over here. And so it's got everybody's name with the way the kid says his name. So when people get pissed at us for the way we say a name, we just took it from the way the kid says it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So Gord does all this research. He knows he's got people, he calls, what about this? What about this? If there's a bad rule or a ruling that happens, within 3 minutes, he's already talked to somebody to get the understanding. Look, Chris Cuthbert just left to go to Sportsnet, and Chris is awesome. One of the best. I've been so lucky to work with Chris and Gord. Like those guys, I never, ever, ever think, man, I hope Gord's got his game today. I never think that. Like he's got his A game.
He's not bringing the B game 80% of the time.
No, the B game.
No, that's his winger, Ray.
Yeah, what he's got to worry about is his winger gets lost on the way to the rink because I'm directionally challenged. I'm a little unorganized. I like to think I'm one of those people. I like to think I'm super organized, but I'm not really. And Gord will be in a rink like in Europe, and he'll constantly be tapping me on the shoulder. No, turn right here, because I'm going the wrong way again. We've been there 10 days. Yeah, doesn't matter. I can't get it. Gord drags me around, and we somehow get it on the air.
He's worried. He's like, my winger's stuck in Buttons, red wine bottle still, and fucking he's out to lunch right now. I actually was laughing this tournament. I don't remember what game it was. He said a guy was from Czech Republic that was Slovakian, I think. I was like, oh man, he might make himself sleep with a gag ball in his mouth tonight. He doesn't make those mistakes.
There is every once in a while, like, there'll be a name that he's so mad at himself he doesn't get it. And I'm like, man, we've done 3 games today and you got one name wrong.
Perfectionist.
Like, yeah, man, because a lot of times if you hear me say, and they go around the Czech defenseman, it's because I can't figure out what number he is, and I sure as hell can't say his name.
I used to call games with the Coyotes, left wing, centerman, never usually don't drop the names. That's the vet move right there.
Look at the big tall guy in the middle. He's really good.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Ray, you guys make it so enjoyable to watch these games. I didn't have any more questions. I don't know if you guys did. I think he's got to go prepare for a couple semifinals tonight.
Yeah, it's very.
I got to go bang out 2 games, and I got to get on that bike, man. I got to get on the bike today. Got to roll around a little bit.
Got to work off that red.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely have to do it.
There we go.
There's my buddy Dan Murphy, who works at Sportsnet, who is a really, really awesome guy. He says every night you got to make your choice when you're on the road. You either eat or drink your calories. You can't do them both. It's some of the greatest advice I've ever got.
Nice. Well, Ray, thanks so much for joining us again. 3-time guest on Spittin Chiclets. It's an honor, and have some fun tonight watching the games.
I will for sure. Hey guys, be well, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, care.
Ray.
Big thanks once again to Ray Ferraro for joining us for a 3rd time. Always a pleasure to have him on. The guy knows the juniors inside out, so not many better guys to have on than him. So I'm moving right along. Hey, most guys have tried different ways to last longer in bed, but thinking about world junior scoring records and save percentages don't always work, right, Biz? Well, the folks at Roman, an online men's health company, are changing the game with Roman Swipes, the secret to longer-lasting sex. Roman Swipes are a clinically proven way to last longer in bed. They're effective, easy to use, and fast-acting, and they don't require a prescription, the best part. Roman can ship swipes to you in discreet, unmarked packaging, and each swipes packet is small enough to hide in your wallet for whenever you need it. They're super easy to use. You just take the swipes out of the packet, swipe it on, let it dry, and you're good to go. That's it. So go to getroman.com/chiclets. You can get your first month of swipes for just $5 when you choose a monthly plan. That's getroman.com/chiclets. Well, boys, here it is after midnight Tuesday morning. We're coming to you after the games were played tonight. We got 2 absolutely totally different games. The Canadians won in a snoozer 5-0. And the U.S. ended up winning a nail-biter at the wire 4-3, avoided overtime. They blew a 3-1 lead late. U.S. Canada going to play later tonight, 9:30 Eastern time, Tuesday, going for the gold. Whit, let's go to you first. What was your take on the games tonight?
Lot to sit here and digest. I mean, as a former U.S. hockey World Junior player, I couldn't be more proud. I never sniffed getting to the gold medal game. And I tell these guys one thing, if I could ever get in there and buzz in there and maybe say something tonight, I'd say the last 3 times we've played this country north of us in the gold medal game, we're 3-0. Okay? That is a fact. And let me see. It was the Troy Terry heroics in Montreal. It was the John Carlson heroics in Saskatoon, I believe. And then it was Marc-Andre Fleury having the gaff and Patrick O'Sullivan getting the winner in 2004.
No.
So yeah, in the last 17 years, we've met 3 times for the goal was what you go over there for, or to Edmonton. And I think they should be as confident as all hell. Let me say this: the Canadians wagon. They haven't given up a 5-on-5 goal yet in the tournament. Are you shitting me? That's just like crazy town. But they haven't played a team as good as the United States either. So I cannot wait to watch this tonight. I'm beyond fired up. Canada just what a shitbag Russian team that was. I mean, they didn't have anything.
Did you see Bob McKenzie talking about it? They came out about a minute and a half late for the game, so they were scrambling. Yeah, they were just like weren't ready to play. I don't know if there was like a mishap with the clock inside their locker room. Like sometimes those things happen, but like they were kind of sleeping. All of a sudden, Canada's got their 5 guys on the ice ready to go. Russia's kind of lining up. They're scrambling. Bob McKenzie talked about it, and he's like, "Listen, it seemed as if though from puck drop because Canada did end up scoring." What in the first 3 minutes? Put one bar down.
Have every game, right?
Yeah, first minute tonight. Yeah.
Oh, was it the first minute? Yeah. So sorry about that.
That first goal, the kid, it went in and out of the net. Everyone thought it hit the post because it made the typical ping sound, and it went in and out so quick. They didn't blow the whistle until about 30 seconds later.
And I mean, we had Ray Ferraro on, and he basically called every shot there was as far as the tournament was concerned. He was bing, 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 because we had him on at 1 p.m. Eastern time before he was heading over to the rink for a doubleheader. And listening to those guys, it's crazy, man. They're tireless. They had to do back-to-back games with an hour in between.
Yeah, quick. Yeah. Just go, enough to go grab some popcorn in the,
grab a wine, grab a
wine cooler, wine cooler
from Craig.
Yeah, Craig Button's dropping wine down from the rafters.
Alex Killorn was talking about it online about this Levy kid. He said he was shooting on him when he was 14 years old. He would go on with his team and then stay on afterward and take, 100 breakaways from NHLers. Always had a positive mindset. Just kept working, and getting high praise from NHLers already. And he's had hell of a tournament. He's putting up some insane numbers. I mean, I think RA might have been able to play net tonight, although given with what the Canadians gave up. But you said it, with just 5-on-5, they just lock you up. Good gaps by defensemen, good sticks, good back pressure by the forwards. Everybody's buying in, and on top of that, they just have enough skill to just trample anyone. So this is going to be a very interesting final, though.
It is, and Ray Ferraro, people won't even believe us. I mean, he talked about. Is it Askarov?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one Grinelli whammied this time.
Askarov.
Oh, hey, how about who do we have on for a draft analysis? Ian Moran. He was ripping on Stützle and then said Askarov was the steal of the draft. Although, hey, still a lot of hockey to be playing these guys' careers, but he could have been more off to this point.
So where was I going with that? Yeah, so Askarov is just, oh my God. Have you ever seen somebody drop their stick that often? He never had a stick. What the fuck? It's like somebody put butter on his stick as a prank before practice. Crazy. I've never seen a goalie that often need to try to find his stick. And Marty Baron, it was interesting on Twitter, because at one point one of the defensemen gave him the stick and he wrote, never, ever, ever do that. He's like, a goalie can handle not having a stick for a couple minutes, a couple seconds, hopefully a minute, as opposed to if you get the puck, you get it out, right? You all the players need to have a stick, which I actually had never heard from a goalie. I always thought you handed him over your stick. Not that anyone wanted mine, but it was just
in my case, it might have been wise because I didn't really know how to use it.
The goalie's going like this to you. No.
Take the shovel.
I sent a text. He's the only other righty on the team. We were saying how there's only one righty skater. He's the only other righty. So I said to the text chain, maybe he had a lefty stick by accident because he kept dropping the fucking thing.
But it was, I think I tweeted out grip weaker than Witt's ankles. Fucking, it was just dropping everywhere. So Ray was on the head with that one. U.S. looked good. That Turcotte, is that the kid whose old man was picking his nose?
Oh, yeah. He was
getting himself a COVID test.
Picking his brain.
Yeah, exactly.
He's picked it up. He got his first goal last game against Slovakia, and then got another one here tonight. Sick pass. And now, also quickly though, Canada, I asked about McMichael and Perfetti. They made it 2-0 and 3-0. Both those guys, I mean, the whole team's just stacked. But what else happened in that Canada game that
well, we're going to go back to the offside. Let's talk about the offside. It was 4-0 for Canada at that point, right before – it might have actually been 3-0. It was right before the end of the second. And it would have been a bit of a momentum changer. Was it 4-1, G? It would have made it 4-1? Yeah, 4-1. And even with the new rule of like the hovering leg, it still would have been offside because his toe was hitting and his toe was touching down inside the offensive zone before the puck had fully cleared. So like it was a great heads up play by the video coach for Team Canada, who I believe is the Saskatoon Blades video coach, and Mitch Love, who's the assistant right now for Team Canada. He probably brought him over, but just an awesome call down. And it sucked because I kind of wanted to see a little bit of a hockey game. And the minute they took that away, it was like, okay, this one's over.
Yeah, I was bummed out early, but that Russian team, they didn't have anything like skill level and speed. It wasn't one of those Russian teams that can compete and win a gold medal. But Canada hasn't trailed this tournament either. It's like this is they're a huge favorite, but it's going to be a tough game for them to win. I think it's going to be a classic tonight.
Let's talk about the winner in the slot area for the USA. This kid played for the Hamilton Bulldogs OHL team. He had 51 tucks, and he ended up sliding down in his draft year. And he was a late first rounder.
No, he went to the second round, Biz. Fell to the second round.
First
pick in the second.
First pick in the second round, and you see that release from the slot area. He's at a dead standstill, and Ray Ferraro described it perfectly. He just opens up his hips, gets around the puck, and gets enough leverage on it to get it upstairs. Goalie barely moved, and just a very entertaining game. The Finns never give up. And who was 29 for Finland? Very impressive.
Kasper Simon-Taival. He got both their goals, or two of their goals rather tonight.
Two of the three, yeah.
Yeah. And that Kaliev, interesting story. He was born in Uzbekistan, which is one of the old Soviet socialist republics, immigrated to the States, lived in Staten Island when he was 2 years old, and ended up moving to Michigan. So, I mean, he's American now, but he actually born in Uzbekistan. So he's had an interesting road to where he is now, because Arthur Kaliev, those names almost don't match up. It's like a Russian last name with like a 60-year-old white guy in America. Like that's usually people who are named Arthur. So it's kind of funny, but hey, great game, man. That was an unreal snipe. I thought we were looking at a little OT, but fortunately we won't be up too late tonight.
Well, and a big advantage for Team Canada. They got about 4 hours extra of rest here, playing in a back-to-back. Tomorrow, 9:30 Eastern time is the gold medal game.
And I was thinking, well, why didn't they do it earlier? Especially like people in Newfoundland, it's even later for tomorrow night's game. But it would have been unfair to the winner of the second game had they put. You know what I mean? Like you at least have to start it when they started. Give them the full 24 hours.
They'll be up drinking with.
Oh, they're getting after it. A bunch of Americans. The Newfies. yeah, exactly. And speaking of that new hook who had the first goal for Canadian, he plays at Boston College. He's something else. That guy's nasty. Another shocker, Colorado Avalanche prospect. It's like, Jesus Christ. They're building a dynasty over there. But Arthur Kaliev, I don't know why he slid in the draft. He's not the greatest skater. I don't know if that had something to do with it. I know nothing else about him. But he can shoot a puck, and he got going on that line with Zegras and Turcotte, and they've just been, every time they get the puck, it's like that's easily their best line. And they got depth. They got Boldy, that Minnesota prospect, also plays at BC on another line, but they have tons of options on US that can score, and Zegras being the number one guy. I talked about him earlier. This kid, he's fucking unreal out there.
Tried the lacrosse goal tonight.
He's trying everything out there, and he always has the puck. It's like a magnet. And I think he got his 25th point tonight in his 10th game in the World Juniors in his career. So he's looking at breaking the all-time record for points in World Juniors. I think that it was 27. I don't know. Did he actually assist?
No, I think Peter Forsberg had.
No,
something.
for US, I mean.
Oh, for US. Yes.
Did he
Jeremy
assist
Roenick's
on the winner?
One of the guys.
Did he? Yeah, he passed Roenick tonight.
He didn't have the assist on the winner, but he had that sweet assist on the Boldy goal. Yeah. Just unreal, like sort of shot pass, put it right in his stick.
Yeah, so he's He's their best player on that side, on the offensive side. And Spencer Knight versus Levy. Is it Levy?
Levy?
I'm out to lunch.
Like good the jeans.
Yeah, Levi.
He was also a Florida Panthers pick. Late pick.
Seventh rounder. So 2 Panthers prospects in net going at it. Should be special.
Yeah, Levi, he's been absolutely lights out. I mean, I think he's getting overshadowed by some of the, other players on Canada, but he's been absolutely lights out, to repeat myself. But again, 9:30 Tuesday night. We're dropping this episode Tuesday, boys. Any other notes before we move along to the last couple subjects tonight? Or?
I mentioned the lacrosse goal. Johnny Walker for ASU had one tonight. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Is he a super senior yet?
Yeah. Hey, he's like Van Wilder at this point.
Me.
He's been playing college fucking
We had him on the
years.
podcast in 2018. That's 3 years ago.
And he was a senior, I think.
Yeah.
7 years of college.
But guys, give your predictions. Give your predictions for the game.
Peace Corps.
10-1 Canada. He's like the guy. Fuck. Come on, help me out here. Texas Longhorns. Mathew Barzal. Early movie. Days of Confused.
Days of Confused. Wooderson. I stay the same age. No, I get old. They stay the same age.
What's the line I'm looking for here? I was really struggling. It's fucking late here, people. Come on.
I love high school girls. I get older, but they stay the same age. I'm not sure that line has aged well in the last 20 years. Things have changed.
Huge hit now.
Yeah. I'm dying.
Well, my prediction is I think Canada is going to win 5-2.
Oh, I think US 3-2.
I'll go. I was going to say what, but I want to copy you. I'll go US 4-2 at an empty netter.
There we go.
I got US 1-0.
Oh, just a straight up shutout. Shut those Canadian pigeons down, Biz.
It took you Canadians longer to get Pink Whitney. You're going to get to celebrate gold. That's where you're going to get it. All that good karma is going up north, folks. Let's bring it home. Fuck these cake eaters.
Better be for $30 a bottle.
Yeah, no shit.
I can LCBO.
All right.
All right.
That's a long one.
Yeah, moving right along. We did say earlier the AHL was looking to start on February 5th. They're still on target for that. However, a few teams have opted out of the upcoming season between the COVID stuff, the financial situation. Milwaukee, Springfield, and Charlotte, all in the American Hockey League, they're not going to be playing this season. Milwaukee is Nashville's affiliate. Springfield is St. Louis, and Charlotte is in Florida's affiliate. 4 teams are going to be playing in what are called provisional relocations for the season. Binghamton Devils are going to play in Newark. The Ontario Reign are going to play in El Segundo. The Providence Bruins are going to play in Marlboro, Mass. And the San Diego Gulls are going to play in Irvine, California. Frank Saravalli tweeted, the Preds, Blues, and Panthers plan to sprinkle their prospects around the AHL where roster space is available. Most have agreements in place to help. This does suck for the guys who are kind of on the bubble of all of these other teams.
This means people are going to lose their jobs.
Exactly, yeah.
It sucks. I understand, right? When you get to these certain small towns or certain buildings, and it just all depends on the state and the county. But this is some bad news for guys. I mean, you think of it affecting East Coast League guys trying to get to the AHL. Well, it's way step ahead now. There's AHL guys who aren't going to have a job. So hopefully, it gets figured out quick for the following year. I don't know what's going to happen, but definitely shitty news. And also for teams, I mean, granted, it's different this year. You get kind of your taxi squad, you get all these extra guys, but still, you want your players and your prospects. You want them getting better. You want them playing games. And there's a bunch that are just kind of left out to dry.
And what's kind of wild, too, they're going to have 28 teams in 5 divisions. The Pacific Division is going to have 8 teams, the North 7, the Central 6, the Canadian 4, and the Atlantic 3. I've never seen anything like that. I don't know how they're going to work the schedule. They haven't really mentioned that yet, but that's pretty wild to have 5 divisions and such varying numbers of teams.
They're all getting shit-faced. They're all getting shit-faced, throwing darts off a wall, doing the schedule right now, rolling marbles. Like there's no other. How the hell are you going to go about doing that?
Oh, shit. I know, Whit, you wanted to talk about Jumbo Joe Thornton in Toronto at camp. They got him on left wing with Pablo and Mitch Mana. I mean, he says he feels young already. I know we haven't seen him out there yet, but, Leafs fans going to get a little overexcited here.
He's not stressed, Whit. He's not stressed.
I don't know if you guys saw Joe Thornton's not stressed. Yeah, you think? He's made $110 million.
Oh my
on ice alone, and he's a legend of the game, and he's probably one of the top 5 passers of the puck to ever play the sport. Everyone loves him that's played with him. And, he doesn't want a Stanley Cup. Who knows what's going to happen this year. But no shit, you aren't stressed, Joe. You get the world by the balls. Somebody wrote me, too, like, yeah, he's never won a cup, though. He's going to go down as one of the best to never win a cup. I'm like, oh, my God. I'm pretty sure he'll get over it. Or maybe he won't, and he'll live the rest of his days in agony. But I'm going to guess in 10 years when he wakes up on a beach or the mountains, he's going to have an enormous Joe Thornton smile. Yeah, Joe Thornton Beach. It also has a mountain. It's got both skiing and surfing.
Oh, it's like Lake Tahoe.
He
just
built
minus
it.
The ice.
He paid for it.
Yeah. No. Okay. So speaking of Joe Thornton, there was an article that came out in The Athletic, and there was a story about him chirping McDavid. You guys see that?
Oh yeah, hilarious.
You could probably tell it a lot better, RA, because you probably have it teed up.
Yeah, I got it right here. I'll just read it verbatim. In 2019, there was a collision at center ice between McDavid and Tom Hurdle. Neither one of them had the puck. Zach Cashian pushed Tommy Hurdle near the glass. Tom Hurdle gets the penalty. Couple shifts later, we're back at full strength, and it just so happens to be a face-off in the neutral zone right in front of our bench. Cassian is lined up with his back to our bench, and Jumbo is right in front of him. Jumbo is literally leaning over Cassian's shoulder, and he's yelling, "Hey, Connor." Connor wasn't acknowledging him, so Jumbo keeps yelling, "Hey, Connor." Finally, the puck's ready to get dropped. Connor kind of looked over at him. Jumbo says, "When I was the best player in the world, I used to take care of that shit my own. I didn't need this middleweight to come in and take care of it." All of a sudden, everybody just starts fucking laughing at it. Like, he refers to himself as the best player in the world. Fucking shitting on McDavid or busting McDavid's balls or whatever. So there's a ton of stories, by the way. Joshua Cloak wrote it in The Athletic, and you should be subscribed to it because it's great journalistic bang for your buck. But it's a fantastic article. It went on sort of an oral history. They talked to like 30 different people. Tons of awesome stories in there about Joe.
Yeah, check it out. We don't want to ruin it, but I thought that was the good one that would get people to go read it. So Jumbo Joe, legend. Very interested to see how he's going to handle the media in Toronto. Sprint to the finish. I got them winning the Canadian Division 2, Whit.
Thank you.
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah. Matthews might win MVP.
Ooh. Going out on some fucking limbs here tonight.
Okay.
Oh, going out on a fucking limb saying Austin Matthews is going to win MVP?
No, that Toronto's going to win the division.
What are the odds? Have you seen odds for the divisions yet?
I saw them a week or so back. I haven't looked at them in a couple of days because I haven't put any action in yet, so I haven't.
They're like the Cowboys, where they might be the favorites just because it's the Leafs, but I think they're the best team in Canada.
Yeah, we should do a snake draft of who we think is going to make playoffs. And who could pick the most playoff teams in the snake draft? We could do something as far as who's going to win these divisions, because we got to do our divisional breakdowns, but we probably won't extend them to the length that we've done in the past. We'll try to condense it, maybe just pick the winners, because there's going to be a lot of hockey to cover, and it's going to come here quick. I mean, games start in a week and a half.
Absolutely, no doubt. We did get some sad news actually in the last hour or so here. TSN Hockey tweeted that John Muckler, he won 5 Stanley Cups as an assistant and a head coach with Edmonton. He was also a GM and coaching stints with Buffalo, the Rangers, and Senators. He passed away, I assume Monday night at the age of 86. So we want to send our condolences and sympathies to his family and friends. He's been around the game a long time. I'm sure a lot of people know him or knew him. And again, we want to extend our sympathy. So any other stuff you guys wanted to add before we wrap up here? Or?
He was the man. They cut them that cup once Gretzky was gone. Was it 90?
Yeah, that was the 90 cup. Yeah.
So that was rest in peace to him. Thinking of him and his family. Legend of the game. What else did we have?
Donate to the Barstool Fund.
Barstool Fund still kicking. I think I saw something that the donations have started to slow down a little bit. You got to keep that ripping. Granted, end of the year, it was going to be a huge push. Hockey back in a week. Thank God.
Yep. Well, we mentioned it quickly. Brent Burns, a friend of the program, appeared on Vikings, the show. It's now on Amazon Prime. He probably didn't have to go to like wardrobe and makeup. He probably just showed up in his usual duds there. Like, all right,
that's what he wears to the game.
You're all set.
that in his backpack.
It kind of looked like your jacket, Biz.
The one I wore at the Pond Hockey?
Yeah, the real. Well, I mean, way different color, but just the overall size of it.
The one I bought when Whit missed.
Ooh,
when I was given a broken stick.
Oh, I sent this to the guys the other day that, the Liberty Hotel where we stay at used to be the former jail here in Boston. Well, they had a drink this weekend at Alibi. It's called the Whitney Bulger. I don't know if you guys saw that. It was Pink
what goes
Whitney.
in it?
Pink Whitney, lemon, simple syrup, basil, and sparkling rosé.
Me and Whitey had a lot in common.
A little bit of rat juice in there if they named it after fucking Bulger, but the Whitney Bulger. I don't know. It's a tough look, Whit. Having your name tied to him.
I don't give a fuck. I'm making money every time they sell one.
All right, boys. Well, this is a pretty fat episode. I think we can put a bow on it. And everybody have a fantastic week. We're going to be coming to you next week from Scottsdale, Arizona. Cannot wait. We're going to be at Biz's HQ.
Yep.
You guys got some sandbaggers on tap. Next episode, bunch of interviews. I can't wait to get out there. It's been a long time since I've been in the American Southwest.
You guys might be able to get inside of an NHL arena and watch a game. I don't know what the rule is exactly as far as spectators are concerned with the Coyotes, but you, in fact,
they are letting some fans in Arizona. I read that was one of the buildings.
So maybe you guys will be able to get inside of a Coyotes game.
Who do they start off the season against? The Sharks?
San Jose. Yeah, back to back. I believe they play maybe even 4 games back to back against them because they're already here, right? They're actually staying.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't want to. Yeah, I was going to give away their location.
Yeah,
I was about to give away the Sharks location.
Like Carlson's in room 901. Well, Biz, I can't wait to get out and see your humble abode and all of us to get together. That's so exciting. And
you've never met Finnegan,
Mr. Finnegan.
Oh, Mr. Finnegan is going to say hello to it.
Does he just shed everywhere?
Yeah, he sheds a lot.
Biz, good luck tonight. Go USA.
Let's go, Team Canada. We could do this.
Go.
We can do this. Even though you snubbed me 10 years ago, and then Witt got picked, and he had the 3 apples against Belarus.
All second assists.
All fucking third assists from the press box. See you, boys.
Have a good one, everybody.